All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stones of Faerûn, a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition epic played on Discord, Roll20 as well. And we are streaming it out to you guys out there on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook. I'm DM Windy J, and the rest of our group is joining from all over North America. So Stones of Faerûn is a campaign that's been going for a little while now. You can see some of our updates in our journal for all the different things that have happened. We've had 11 episodes so far. For our game. You can see all of those summaries at stones.windyjmusic.com. And you can also see some of our previous episodes when the technology was working for us to do so. There's also going to be a new Between the Episodes blog popping up here too called Sending Stones. And so that's kind of where we're at with things. So last episode, where we left off, our party had had spent some time in Flan, and while in Flan, they did a few odd jobs. The last one they did in Flan managed to save a gnome tinkerer's daughter from imprisonment. Turns out that this gnome tinkerer's daughter, Villanova, was actually a member of the Order of the Gauntlet, who tasked the party with trying to help a community, well, not so much help the community, but help recover a few things that had been stolen nearby a community called Mountain Home in the Dragonspine Mountains. At the same time, one of our characters, Marisol, was approached by a Zentarum agent named Chab. Marisol has had some dealings with the Zentarum in the past, and Chab is basically kind of indentured Marisol, and asked Marisol to go and help Mountain Home recover its mines from whatever issues were going on there. And turns out that that this was supposed to be to help the Zentarum earn a little bit of income, make sure that the Mountain Home was recovered in the Zentarum's name. And so off the party went. The party gets to Mountain Home. After meeting a few new characters at Castle Vathar, they get all the way out to Mountain Home. And they discovered that the mine that was there had been completely overrun with kobolds, and that the townspeople had no way of being able to manage it until the party came along and cleared out the mine of all the kobolds and their patron, which just so happened to be a red dragon wormling. And so they killed the wormling, killed the kobolds, and returned the mine to the control of the townspeople of Mountain Home. In doing so, they also realized the people of Mountain Home, particularly the town's main speaker, if you will, Quartz Speaker was what he was called, discovered that this was actually going to be a Zentarum issue, and that they didn't want the Zentarum in Mountain Home, and so convinced the party to take the Red Dragon Wormling's corpse in hopes that the scales from the Red Dragon Wormling would pay off the Zentarum enough to leave Mountain Home alone. Throughout all of this, the party's actually learning a lot more about each other. Marisol ends up revealing that her family lives in Melvaunt, discovered through Chab when she was still in Flan that her home, which was also a shop in Melvaunt, had been ransacked, and so there was some concern about the condition. So they made their way to Melvaunt. They had to struggle with a manticore on the way. A little bit unusual for the party to have to deal with anything airborne, and they managed to solve that issue. They arrived at Melvaunt, and two of them, Marisol and Roman, went in just to check out what's going on at the shop, at the place that's known as Hollow Flags Cartography, which is where Marisol's family was supposed to be. However, not only had this shop been ransacked, but they discovered that it had also been abandoned. And returning to the party, Marisol and Roman, mostly Roman. Marisol was largely, beside herself with grief and anger and fear and all sorts of other feelings. Roman relayed to the party what they had discovered. And while doing so, Serge managed to notice a halfling person kind of watching them as they had regathered outside of the city wall of Melvaunt. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to this episode of Stones of Faerûn. Alrighty then. So now that we're out in front of the town, what would you guys like to do? We're gonna get the bot to play us something a little bit more relevant now for a bit. What would you guys like to do now that you are out in front of the town, in front of the city with this major issue that's come your way? It is nighttime, a cloud cover, and it's starting to look like the town is kind of getting a little bit closed up, or the city is starting to get a little bit closed up.
Marisol's not really in a state to go anywhere at the moment, so my vote is to spend the night in outside the city and take a long rest, chill, and go in the morning to see the person whose sign was posted on my cartography shop's place.
Sure.
That works. Because I mean, I don't know. Has Serge indicated that he's doing anything particular about this halfling? That he's the only person that seems to have noticed?
Serge hasn't said anything quite yet. Serge will actually turn and say, "Did you know you have a tail?"
I guess I think Roman is the only one there because I'm pretty sure. I think if I remember correctly, Marisol and Indani are off in another corner. Like Indani's like comforting Marisol or something or another like that.
Just a little bit away from the group, perhaps. Yes.
Yeah, I guess then Roman would turn and just kind of like look at the halfling.
Now, roll a perception check then.
Oh boy, perception. Where's that? There. Why is my sound weird?
Ah, perception.
That would be why, because it's in the wrong speakers. There we go. 12.
12. So with your perception check...
As I said, NVIDIA screwed everything up.
So with your 12 perception, you're not noticing anybody in particular looking at you or being a tail or being anything along those lines. There's a few people are kind of making their way in and out of the city gate. A couple of them are kind of hanging out and chatting, but you don't notice anything untoward.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Melvaunt is a mostly human city, right?
It is mostly human, yes.
Does there anyone in that crowd that looks out of place, like not human?
There's a couple of them. There is, and the ones that tend to be not human tend to be halfling. A couple of them might be elvish in nature with the slender build that you're used to seeing elves have, like Veltris with you. So while it's a predominantly human community, it's not unheard of to seeing some others. And you don't know that it's a halfling that Sergius mentioned. Sergius simply said, "Did you notice he had a tail?"
Yeah. I didn't. I think when last session ended, I don't know if I understood that there was more people than just the halfling outside the wall. Because I don't think Roman would be facing that direction, so he wouldn't have seen that.
That would be true.
I guess he'll kind of look back to Serge with a raised eyebrow.
And Serge will turn back and see. All right. So, see if you can put your eyes on that halfling wearing the green thing. And with Serge's direction, you're able to pick out that one of the halflings. There's not many, but one of the halflings is in fact wearing a green shirt of some or green tunic of some sort, but doesn't seem to be paying your group any mind at all.
Is the green that he's wearing any bit similar to the green colors that Roman wears?
No, not really. It kind of nondescript green.
Okay.
It's certainly not a bright thing.
Green color.
Just a general grass green kind of color.
Okay, yeah, because Roman's is a bit of a brighter green.
Right.
And he. Can I try and insight this halfling from all the way over here?
You can certainly try.
I kind of want to try, because I mean, Serge is pointing him out, like that one specifically, so.
Yeah.
Ooh, not great.
No, this halfling appears to be. This is really weird. My bot just decided to cut out.
Oh,
That
the
was
music
really
bot?
weird. Yeah, the music bot just decided, no, I don't want to do this anymore. So, fine. Be that way. Let's get the other bot to play instead. There we go.
Yeah, the other one joined back.
Oh, good lord. This could get kind of entertaining then. I'm so
I
sorry,
think
guys.
only one's playing right now, so.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Actually, both of them are playing. It's kind of super creepy.
Oh, I only hear one playing.
Oh, well, that's
I
good
don't know.
then. It's good. There, we'll just leave it alone. Anyway, so with that lovely insight check, the halfling really does just look like he's chatting with a friend. That's it.
Okay. I guess Serge is gonna get another raised eyebrow. Like, he's not paying any mind to us, but
And Serge is gonna look. Something's funky here. Something's not right.
I'm messing with it too.
Oh, okay. Let me get her set here. I've just put it to 50. Go ahead and set your own volumes at it. I'm so sorry about the volume of the bot. It's getting all weird on me. But there we go. We're getting better with it now.
that's why I leave music bots generally muted, is because sound just gets really weird with them.
It does. But it makes the Twitch so much more entertaining. Anywho, the halfling is... And Serge looks towards the halfling and just kind of grimaces and... Where did it go? Do you see him still? And you look again, and you don't actually even see the halfling anymore. Just disappeared. You did see it, right? Like, I'm not going crazy.
No, it was definitely there.
Serge just shrugs and kind of keeps an eye out, but doesn't necessarily say anything further.
Might be a good idea to keep a watch up during the night. Just in case.
All right. So, you guys are gonna set up camp then? How far away from the city's watch from the city gate are you guys gonna set your camp up at?
Where is our cart right now? Is it like right outside the gates?
You guys are around 50 feet away from the gate. You just kind of set up shop there. You were among a few that had set up kind of as if you didn't want to bring the whole thing into the city quite yet, and had just generally people kind of hanging out waiting. And now people are starting to disperse, either into the city or away from the city.
I'll take people smelling dragon corpse over us being away from the city. So my vote is stay here and just maneuver things in the morning.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think we're gonna set up a watch anyways, but...
Okay. Well then, you guys go ahead and set your camp up. Get your long rest. We're gonna need to see who's gonna be taking watches, and I would say you probably need to have 3 different watches. How do you guys want to do it tonight?
Marisol will take middle shift.
Okay. Veltris would probably want to take the first shift.
Okay. Then I guess Roman will take third shift?
Sure.
Are we doing one person per shift, or are we gonna do 2 people? Does it really
Autumn
matter?
will help wherever he's needed on these night shifts.
We can afford to do one person per shift since we're right outside the city.
Great.
Okay.
So why don't we say that Veltris and Autumn take first shift, and then Autumn, I'll get you to roll with advantage on a perception for me, and that will take your first shift, and then we'll do the same kind of concept with the other characters too.
So I want to do something else as well as...
Yeah, go for it. Tell me what you want to do.
So I just want to pry one of the scales from the dragon cord.
All right.
For personal reasons. I would like it to be about the size of my hand if possible.
Okay. Roll a survival check for me, please.
Sure. very good at survival.
Wow, with a -1 and still getting a 14. Yeah, you managed to search through the corpse. It's on the flank that you find a scale that's kind of the size that you're looking for, and you start kind of getting into it with a knife or dagger, and are able to just kind of pare the tendons and sinews away and get the scale dislodged. So what's interesting about it is that it doesn't look as though like you have to really pay attention to see that the dragon is actually missing a scale there, with the way that they overlap each other. But you do now have a dragon scale, and it is about the size of your hand.
Awesome. And I'm just gonna kind of stow that away.
Okay, go ahead and put it in your sheet. You have a red dragon scale.
Yep.
All right. So, go ahead and when you're ready with your perception check with advantage.
Yeah. Really good at perception too.
Oh yeah. So you kind of settle in, and you're still kind of distracted by the other pieces and paraphernalia you currently have in your wagon. Spend a little bit more of your time inspecting that stuff instead. Veltris sets herself up beside the back end of the wagon and just kind of stands. She tries to look like she's leaning casually against the wagon, but her ever bright armor is kind of, and her regular demeanor is kind of belying the fact that she's actually very much on guard duty. But the evening so far goes without a hitch, without issue. The interesting thing about it is that the people have kind of settled in. There's camps that are kind of set out. You can see a couple of camps dotting the landscape, and the campfires that go with it for a good solid mile. There's probably 4 or 5 other camps set out here, a mile away, even as far as a mile away from the city gate. You are fairly close to the city gate. You got a pretty good view of what's going on there, and the gates are now kind of getting closed up a little bit more. They've actually closed one side, and they're still letting people in and out, but it is with questioning that happens now. There wasn't as much questioning as people were coming in and out earlier on. But your watch goes without event. And so now we go to, I think we said Marisol was taking second watch. Marisol... Yep. And I think we'll say Marisol and Indani, question mark? Or no, yeah, probably Marisol and Indani.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, okay. So go ahead and roll with a perception check with advantage. Aha, all right. So with a 19, it's a pretty good roll. With a 19, you get the night sky is dark because there is a good solid chunk of cloud cover across everything. And with that cloud cover, it's become quite difficult you would imagine it would be quite difficult for a lot of activity to happen, like you would expect that night birds of prey would be out hunting and such, but there's very little activity because of the dark. You can see relatively clearly though. You can see where the camps used to be. You can still even see a couple of shapes outlined on the distance, with a tiny bit of light coming through the cloud cover to give you those silhouettes even from a distance. But nobody seems to approach you. There isn't anything unusual. There is at the city gate. Again, it's a relatively uneventful evening. And now we can go to Roman and Serge. Get you guys to roll with advantage as well. All right, so with a 16, not quite as clearly can you see off into the distance, and the cloud cover remains as well to a certain extent. It starts to get a little bit windy, and kind of almost blustery to a certain point, but also comes with a relatively warm wind. So it's actually it almost feels like it's coming in from the ocean. And seeing as you're on the east side of the city, it's quite noticeable coming in from the ocean, the salt smell that goes with it. Um, but you don't see anything completely unusual. And as the sun begins to peek up over the horizons, you find yourself to a new day, cloud covered, windy, but with no issue, and you guys all take yourselves a long rest. And the sun rises, and you are all awake. What would you like to do with the day?
I would be approaching the group around breakfast or whatever everyone's doing first thing in the morning and letting them know my intentions to go into the city, and asking that they all come along this time around. Maybe leaving a couple people behind to guard the cart, specifically with the Red Dragon corpse in it. And then would like to head into Melvaunt to... I'm sorry, I totally did not get the notes for the place name, but the Aspereth or something like that? The place that we were
Yes.
told to go to.
The Asbereth, so the note that you saw on the side of the building, or on the door of your building, said that it was locked up by order of the Council of Lords, and that you could claim ownership of the building by visiting the Asbereth. And you know where the Asbereth is, so you would have no problem with guiding the party to it.
Okay. What forehand knowledge would I have of the Aspereth?
You know that it's basically just the government building. It's the place where the Council of Lords, generally speaking, meets. The part that you most often, that is most easily recognized about it, is that it is a place for politicians, and that the politicians are usually the noble people of Melvaunt, the people who have the biggest houses, the most income, and in some ways the most to lose, which makes the politics kind of interesting in Melvaunt if you care about that sort of thing, which for the most part of your life, you haven't.
Fortunately, I have not needed to. Okay. Is there any sort of defensive things in particular I would be aware of, should know about?
The city guard, generally speaking, covers the interior of the city, and there is a military unit that tends to cover the outdoors or the outside of the city a little bit. And you've seen their presence a little bit right now, but they don't seem to be all that active. And they also don't. They could very easily be misconstrued as mercenaries as opposed to military people. But the person in charge of the city guard indoors, is called the Lord of Keys. And you can actually look up to the wall now that the sun is kind of rising up in the west and basically turning the whole city into a silhouette. You can see city guard all up and down the top of the city walls, as well as a couple who are now manning the now opened city gates. Inside the city, you expect to see city guard. Generally speaking, they patrol in twos, and they're not exceptionally common, except for in some of the more brisk locations such as the market or the ports, but they do make themselves known nonetheless.
All right, then venturing party will hopefully not stick out too bad. I'll wait for everyone to get ready and then head towards the Edsworth.
Okay, so with that, Veltris is right beside you, getting herself ready, and kind of stays right beside you the entire time. Surge, you start to notice, is acting a little bit distracted. She keeps looking out to the ocean. He keeps looking out to the ocean.
My brain is really not towards anyone but myself and my own problems right now, so I'm not paying attention to that.
Fair enough. You guys are all... Is there anybody who's planning on staying with the cart from this particular group at this point? Or are you all planning on joining Marisol? Okay, so then what we'll do is we'll say that Indani chooses to stay at the cart with Surge. and we'll have Veltris and Marisol and Autumn and Roman head into the city. So you make your way into the city. This is kind of the only entry point into the city from land is from this east city gate, and so you start walking down the main thoroughfare that eventually branches off, and you kind of follow it towards the north and all the way out to the west side of the city where you know the Asbrith is. The city is it's got a pretty good stink of salt everywhere. And so it's not unusual. There's kind of a briny smell as well that comes with the fish market. But generally speaking, it's your average port city, and the blustery smells coming in from the Moonsea right now are pretty strong. The buildings in Melvaunt are much more tightly packed than they were in Flan, and it occurs to you that they're very much the city doesn't really grow out; it grows up instead, and so more of the buildings get a little bit taller. As you go through, you end up walking past a tavern. You also walk past a place where you can see a whole bunch of construction of ship materials. Where you would imagine this is probably where the ships are actually constructed, and you eventually end up past the. You actually walk past one of the more larger residential buildings. It looks like a villa of some repute, before you finally approach the Asbrith, and it is a very well constructed stone building that holds a clock at the top of a tower in it. Make your way to the Asbrith and step inside.
Indeed, we do.
Okay. So as you step inside, you have to take up a couple of steps to go up and open up the doors. You did notice that there were a couple of people who were coming in. They looked very much like pencil pushers, scribes. That's pretty much it. They even with the blue stained hands and everything. As you step in, you can see people are just kind of getting themselves set up and about. It's not a large space that you first see. It's kind of a receiving area, but you do see a variety of different meeting rooms. One of them happens to have a door open, large table. You recognize Marisol immediately as the kind of table you would spread a cartograph out on. But off to your side, there is a city guard standing watch at the very front of the building, and beside him at a desk is a very young-looking human who looks up to you and says, "Yes, how can I help you today?"
Good day. My name is Marisol Avila. I was hoping to speak with the person who repossessed my property.
Repossess your property. Which property is that one, please?
Hollow Flags Cartography.
Hollow Flags. Oh, okay. Give me a moment. Just take a seat. And you do see a couple of chairs nearby, kind of rickety, but they are there, and just kind of gestures for you to take a seat. I'll be right back with someone for you. And he stands up and kind of makes a quick look to the guard. The city guard just kind of nods, and this young fella disappears into a back hallway. And you make your way after a few moments. He comes back, and there's a fairly tall, graying man that walks out to speak to you. Says, "You said you are of the Avila family? Is that what you said?"
Indeed.
Well met. I am Grembril. I am the Lord of the Keys. You happened to catch me right before I got my round started. So I understand that we've had a bit of a run-in at that location. Are you okay?
I've been out of the city for the past few weeks. I was not even aware that there had been a ransacking until recently.
I see. Well, the ransacking was quite some time ago, so you must have been gone for some time as well.
been in Flan longer than I've been home for recent months. So yeah, it's been a while.
Ah, Flan. Wonder how they treat you over there in that lovely little town. In any case, you have... I hate to do this to you. I'm sure that this is probably a most challenging time for you right now. But yeah, I need evidence. Evidence that you actually do belong to the Avila family.
Wendy, I don't know if this will count, but with my background, I have a proof of guild membership. I'm assuming that'd be like basically a proof of ID with names and all that on it.
You can certainly try.
Would that suffice?
You can certainly try.
Okay, I will scramble around in my bag, pull that out, and you'll notice that it's like, if it's in a tiny little picture frame, and the glass is a bit cracked, but it's been like painstakingly glued back together, and just looks like it's very well kept for something that's been constantly on my person for however many years.
Marvelous. So you present it to Gremgwyl, and Grem takes it from you, inspects and says, "Certainly. I'm surprised to see that you actually have the membership yourself, no less. Fair enough. Taryn, do me a favor. I'm going to have to get to my rounds here now. All that this young lady needs is now proof of ownership, a deed, if you will. Can you scrounge one up for her?" "Yes, sir. And I'll leave you in Terrance's care. He'll make sure that you've got all you need. I'm going to go take my watch
Thank
now."
you, my lord.
Indeed. And have good luck. Hopefully the cleanup doesn't take too much time. And he turns around on his heel and starts walking back.
Can I like yell out to him?
You can.
Sir, one last thing. I approached however far away he got. My family, they were not at our place when I was there, and admittedly we have some investors in our shop who are less keen on doing decent business with us. Have you seen either of my siblings, my grandmother or my aunt?
And he just simply chuckles a little bit and says, "So, unless your siblings are likewise appeared, it would be pretty difficult to know for sure from my position. You have to forgive me. However, and for that matter, ill repute's not unusual in Melvaunt. I mean, you have been to the market, I'm sure. But there is no evidence that there was anybody there when we claimed the building. That's the reason why we did."
Oh. Thank you, my lord. I wish you the best of luck with your rounds today.
Oh, pleasure. And, do check in. Couldn't hurt to have another merchant jump in here. And he turns and
Thank you.
And he carries on. And as you turn around to join back to the group, Taryn's already got a parchment prepared for you. It does look like it could be sort of official because it has like a Melvauntian stamp and on it, and but it's obviously been drawn out by a person with poor legibility as well as a poor command of the common language. But it definitely provides you with evidence that you have ownership now of Hollow Flags.
All right, cool. I will painstakingly, carefully put that in my bag with my guild membership papers and nod my head towards Taryn. And then, oh, sorry.
Is that all that you needed?
Maybe from the Lord of Keys, but I was wondering if there was any incident reports on the ransacking from my family or missing persons, or if you wouldn't know someone who I could talk to that would let me know about these things.
Well, you'd have to forgive us. We don't really keep record of that kind of thing in Melvaunt. What we keep record of is, well, who pays taxes?
Well, taxes have been likely not paid for a fair while. Would you have reports about that?
That's why that's why they went to investigate the Hollow Flags, is because they weren't receiving taxes. That's what the report here says.
Do you know how long ago that was?
We put the order up on the door. Let's see here. Kind of thumbs through a couple of ledgers. Let's see, Hollow Flags. Yeah, that was about 2.5 weeks ago.
And when the taxes stopped coming in, was that, how much long ago was that?
I don't have that record here. Hang on, let me see if I can figure that. They don't actually tell us very well. Just, they don't itemize them by each person who lives here. It's really difficult to tell. We kind of take the word of the collectors, if you will.
Would you know who was my collector for that region?
Oh, that I could tell you for certain. Yeah, let's see here. Let me look through the paperwork. Oh, yes. Karen Chase. That's his name, Karen Chase. You could probably find him in the region, if not at the Floating Fighter to begin with.
Could I get a description so that I know who I'm looking for?
I'm sorry, I don't know who he is. I just know his name. It's on the paper here.
Well, thank you. This has been very helpful. I will nod to him, turn towards the rest of the group. Okay, we have a lead, and it's something. Though, what would I know about the Floating Fighter?
Oh, it's a tavern that's nearby the docks that is relatively well frequented by the average person who lives in Melvaunt, and some sailors as well. It's not of horrible repute by any stretch, but there are sometimes some things that happen, as at any tavern. It's actually pretty much the best landmark to figure out where the Hollow Flags is. That if you had somebody who was coming from out of town, you needed to tell them where the Hollow Flags was. You'd say, go find the Floating Fighter, and go straight east.
All right. Probably been in there a couple times and just do not remember it too well. Okay, I would like to head there then.
To the Floating Fighter. All right. So, Floating Fighters. Now, the city, you've kind of got. It's a bit of a spread that you've already walked. You've cleared from one side of the city where the city gate is, all the way to the Asbrith, which was on the opposite side, and in the northwestern corner. Now you're moving your way down towards the docks and running along the southern end of the city. And so you're putting some steps in for the day. It doesn't take you too long, but the sun is now starting to get up a little bit more in the sky. The cloud still covers the sun, of course, but your day is starting to kind of progress. As you carry on to get to the Floating Fighter, you pass a couple of other larger villas. You pass another tavern. You notice it is called the Breakwater. You take a quick peek to your left, and you can see what you remember is the Purple Portals, which is kind of an artificer's location. And that's what you remember of it. And eventually get to the Floating Fighter right beside the docks, and you can see some ships have just recently left port as well, and so the port is actually relatively quiet at this point in time. Stepping into the Floating Fighter, it's your fairly standard alcohol-infused, briny-smelling dock bar. And washing, there's not very many patrons in here. There is one person who seems to be kind of unconscious and looks as though they've been unconscious for most of the night, just left in one of the booths. And then there is the barkeep, who you recognize immediately, having heard of him before as Brom. and Brom is just washing some goblets and some decanters. Brom is a medium height, slightly wider shouldered build man with brown hair and a mustache.
Okay, have I interacted with him before?
Remind me, how old are you again?
26.
Yeah, okay, then you have. So, he would recognize you, and you would easily recognize him. You haven't had a lot of conversations because it's not normally. You were usually there with others instead of, and weren't really trying to hit up the. He's not exactly the most handsome fellow in the world. He's not ugly, but he's not the kind of person that you would have sought out conversation with usually. Your father, on the other hand, had.
All right. Okay, good. I'd walk up to the bar, grab a seat, and wave over to Brom and wait for him to approach.
All right. And he does immediately because you three are now new patrons and the only other ones in the bar because it's early morning. And so let's get some taverny type music going instead, shall we? There we go. All right, so and he comes to you. Mary, right? Kind of pointing at you, just kind of Mary, right? That's your name, right?
Marisol, but Mary amongst close friends. Yeah, Brom, nice to see you again. Dad's always been a fan of your place.
Indeed, it's been a long time since I've seen him, or you, for that matter. You've been even longer. He was telling me that you had left, and over a couple of pints, I'm sure. You're doing well, though.
Yeah, I've actually been back for a few years now. Never really got to Waterdeep like I was planning, but and Dad's been gone just as long, actually. But that's not why I'm here. Actually, I'm looking for some information. Would you happen to know a Karen Chase? Apparently, he frequents this bar.
Oh, yes, he definitely does. Usually after he's done his rounds. His rounds don't happen for another couple of days, mind you. He's probably just at home.
Would you know where that place is?
Generally speaking, he would be found probably... No. Actually, I don't. Who am I kidding? I know that he comes here. Have you been to your place recently?
Yeah, I'm aware of the state it's in.
I'm sorry about that.
Thanks. It's not great, homecoming, but hey, we'll get it sorted, right? Have you seen my siblings, Jorge or Carmen, or if even Aunt Sylvia, recently?
Not for a few weeks. No, I haven't.
Not even Rima. Not even to get, like, her usual here?
Yeah, she did keep me afloat for a little while, didn't she? I guess that's why I called it the floating fighter. Count on Rima, count on her, no problems. It's certainly not good for the company, mind you, but hey, she paid. Nonetheless, no, I haven't seen her for a few weeks. Got a few more people who come to the bar at night now as a result, mind you, but so I can't completely complain. I'm sorry, not to put too fine a point on it.
I'm not exactly enthused she was staying with us either, but again, besides the point. Thank you for the information. I'll be sure to send some more people your way, especially if they look like they're already tipsy.
Yeah, well, it's a quiet day right now, and I don't expect to see too many people until the next sets of ships roll in, so...
All right, well, thank you. I will stand up and head towards the door. This might be dependent on how much. So I have it in Marisol's backstory that her brother worked at the docks. Is that a thing that I could go pursue at the moment, or no?
You can certainly try.
All right, then I'm assuming we're in it. We're right next to it, so that would be my next stop.
Okay. I'm going to check in with Autumn and Roman to see if there's anything in particular that they wanted to do while all this stuff is happening, mind you.
I'm pretty sure we're kind of just like following at the moment, or at least Roman
What-
probably is.
I think we're here for protection, primarily.
Something like
Alright.
that.
All right.
To be
Yeah,
the intimidating
I don't.
presence.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Roman.
I'm here to chronicle.
Okay, so
Sure.
So basically, Marisol, you're making your way around, and you look like you've got your own entourage, a person who's basically chronicling your everything, which is kind of giving people a bit of a chance to kind of give you an askance look. First of all, you're a half-orc. Second of all, you got somebody who's chronicling everything as if you are some sort of noble person, and a
Just
hooded
as a
person
reminder,
beside it.
Just as a reminder, I'm far better dressed than she is as well.
There you go. Yeah. So it's kind of odd that
For the
this
record.
this particular appearance of people, along with Veltris, Veltris, who's also with you, wearing particularly shiny armor, and you're the one doing the talking, Marisol. So it's quite a depiction as you make your way down to the docks.
I've been here enough times after Jorge for them to be able, for me to feel comfortable telling them to shut up and stop staring. So, I will. I'm assuming I have some background knowledge of the layout of this place, so I'd like to head towards the dockmaster's quarters, wherever those be.
Sure. Let's see here. Yeah, you'll find that most of the dockmaster's quarters, or the hall that most of that particular activity happens, is it's kind of on the southwest corner of the city, where the lighthouse sits. There's a building right nearby the lighthouse, which you would know as the finger. I forgot it. Finger of the gods lighthouse, because it's a tall, forbidding structure on the very southwest tip of Melvaunt. You can see it from pretty close to everywhere in the city, even though some of the buildings are quite tall. And so you can make your way down to the dockmaster there. And you know that they set the dockmaster shop up over there is because it's as far away from the resting place of the whip, which is a temple to Loviater, on the other side of the docks. It's kind of a place where people go to get punished.
Forgive me for. Do we mean like criminal punishment, BDSM punishment?
Yes. We'll just go with the yes.
Oh, okay.
Little column A, little column B.
Yeah, sometimes a little column C, and I'll let you figure out what that is.
All of the above.
There you go, yeah. But you can make your way to the dockmaster's quarters without too much hassle. And there's a fella there, old, grizzled, almost toothless fella there, just kind of directing a couple of younger people about moving crates and barrels and actually, you know what? He's teaching one of the younger ones how to tie a knot.
All right. I'm assuming I would not know him by name or anything.
Not necessarily, no. You could roll a history check. We'll see.
Sure, I'll go for that.
Oh yeah, actually, you do know this person. His name is Darkin. You don't know a last name. You just know him as Darkin. Probably taught Jorge how to tie a knot.
All right. I would walk up behind him and put a hand on my hip and smile. Still at it, are we, Darkin?
I certainly are. What can I do for you? He doesn't seem to recognize you at all.
I don't know if you remember me or not, but my little brother Jorge Avila was one of your we'll say students and has been working here for a few years. He's, well, I'm afraid he's missing at the moment, and I was wondering if you had any information on where he might be right now.
I don't have any information. He's been missing for a while, though, I gotta tell you. He kind of left me with my brass monkeys empty. That's all I can tell you.
Is that a euphemism for, like, he stole or something?
No, he just left him in a lurch. Didn't have any. So brass monkey is the material that people that warships would stack their cannonballs on. And so when your brass monkey was empty, and you may have heard this kind of vernacular before, it meant that you would be left without armaments or with it being left in a lurch.
Okay,
So we just left him high and dry.
Yeah, basically.
that works. Good to know. Brow furrowing a little bit more. Would you happen to be able to date that? How long ago it was that he up and vanished?
Black Sun was here around that time, so I guess. Oh gosh, they haven't been here for a long time though either. I'm afraid I can't tell you.
All right. Would you happen to know if Jorge was looking, if there was anything off about Jorge, or he seemed distracted or like suspicious in any way before he left?
The only thing suspicious about him was his mustache he was trying to grow.
He was trying to be like Dad, but human genes are not kind for that sort of thing.
No, indeed. The tusks were much better for him.
For pretty much the first time in a while, especially since we got to Melvaunt, Marisol actually smiles at that. Duncan, thank you. I hate to ask, but if you hear from him or see him or even think you see his shadow, can you let me know?
Sure, where are you going to be? Are you going to be back at the cartography?
For the meantime, we're staying just outside the city. But now that I have the deed, I'll probably be setting up shop again, at least tonight. So yeah, find us at Hollow Flags.
Now, I gotta tell you, there have been some sailors who've been looking for some maps, and they knew about your dad's place, and I kept on sending them there, but I didn't really get word until about a week ago that I should stop doing that. So if you're setting up shop again, I'm sure you're gonna have some company.
Well, thank you. We definitely could use it.
Sorry to drag this on a little longer. You said the Black Sun, the ship?
Yes, the Black Sun, the ship.
When did you last see it here?
Oh, I don't remember. He just kind of stares off into space, thinking a little bit about it. It's like, it looks like he's trying to do some significant calculus in his brain. Like, nah, I can't remember.
It was longer than a year.
Oh gosh, it was high. It was right in the middle of summer. It's right in the middle of summer, and it is. It's the equivalent of August right now for you guys. So, he said right
Month and a half ish time.
Yeah, sounds about right. Sure.
All right, not too far. Thank you.
You looking for it?
No, someone I know is.
Ah. Well, got a new crew, so hopefully they find what they're looking for there.
Do you have any idea where they may have headed off to?
Oh gosh, they've been making the Moonsea run to Procamp here quite a bit lately. merchant now. They used to do a little bit of other things. I don't know what it was, but they're doing more merchant work now.
All right. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Sorry. We can head off now, Marisol.
No problem.
Okay.
Would I have any, like, just to make more rounds on the dock, is there anyone I know of that Jorge's, like, a particularly good friend with on the docks, or, like, a spot he might have frequented with people who would have seen him frequently?
Roll a history check. Let's find out. Did you really nat 20 that? Nicely done.
I really want to find my family.
Yeah, right.
Marisol knows
Yeah, it's gonna
everyone.
happen. Okay. Let me just give me a second on that one then. So, Jorge, he one of the challenge with you not having lived in the region or in Melvaunt for a long time is you didn't really know what Jorge had gotten himself into when he got older. But you always suspected that he was going to be interested in the building of the ships eventually. You didn't know for sure, but you were curious. You thought he was curious enough about it that that might be a place he would end up at. And so you kind of feel like maybe it's worthwhile checking the singular dock that's been set aside for the shipwrights when the ships are starting to get to the point where they're able to be put afloat. And you remember seeing his eyes bug out of his head every time they started wheeling one of the nearly finished ships down the main streets of Melvaunt.
Okay. I would like to go there next then.
Sure.
Assuming it's not getting, like, insanely late at this point.
Assuming that which what? Sorry, say again.
Actually, never mind. I want to find out as much info as I can, even if the sun's going down.
Okay, well, no, the sun, you're getting like around midday, getting close to midday-ish now after going around all these places.
Okay.
So you still got a good chunk of day left. So making your way down to that particular dock, or are you going to the shipyard?
Which is closer
The dock.
than the dock?
Okay, so you
Aren't
get
we
down to
already
the
at
dock.
the dock?
Well, there is one particular dock
Yeah, a
that she
different
knows.
part of the docks, I think.
Yeah, the dock basically runs across the entire southern edge of the city, and the city is more of an oblong football type shape, and so pretty much the entire bottom half of the football is dock, and so she would actually have to go all the way to the other side, which was precisely the opposite side of the docks from where the lighthouse is. Go figure. So, but yeah, you do make your way down to there. There is no ship in the water right now. It looks like they're actually clearing the dock from having just launched one, perhaps.
I would like to point out
Okay.
Autumn is keeping his eye open for any sort of like food carts as we
Sure.
walk there.
Sure. There's tons. There will be, and there'll be simple carts for that matter too. So like jerkies, and there might be one cart along the docks that will have like a bird or game that they're that they're cooking on the spot there. And very much so, the people who are operating these docks do not look like they're the most affluent individuals in the world. They look pretty grimy, but the food smells good.
Sure, I'm just gonna grab something.
Sure.
Whatever it costs me. I'm not
Throw-
really paying a whole lot of attention.
Yeah, throw a copper at it.
All right.
And we'll say that you get.
I'm gonna get 5. Or there's only 4 of us, so 4. I'm gonna get 4 things and just kind of like offer to people
Sure. So
as we're walking.
basically get 4 chunks of 4 chicken drums. Yeah, there you go. Actually, no, they wouldn't be chicken drums. They would be fish. They'd be fish fillets, or fish sticks. Fish on a stick is kind of what they would set it up like. So there you go.
Perfect. Yeah, and I just gesture with it to you want one to each and every one in this group.
I think everyone will probably take one.
Veltress will take it, but she'll kind of she'll also mention that I don't usually eat much more than fish, though. So but thank you nonetheless.
I'll keep that in mind for the future. Marisol?
Will seems a bit distracted and surprised that you're offering it. Thanks.
It's good to keep up our energy. We've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, a lot of forgot how big this place can be to non-natives.
Autumn, I have a quick question for you.
Hey.
Your hair, how does it normally appear?
It's pretty unkempt for the most part. The only place Autumn really keeps any sort of grooming is his beard.
You're particularly frustrated from time to time. Yeah, you get kind of frustrated from time to time when your hair decides that it's going to get almost blown off your head by the blusteriness coming across the moonsea. And your beard, you're very much paying attention to it to make sure that it stays just so.
I got a lot of weights in the beard that does move very easy.
That brings us to the dock, where, as I said, there isn't a ship in the dock right now. Looks like they're just clearing it up from having just launched something. Wrapping up a couple of dock hands who are wrapping up some thicker ropes, a couple of planks. You do see shards of a bottle on the dock. But that's pretty much it.
How can I pick up one of those shards?
Sure, go ahead.
I will pick that up and stash it away, and if anyone gives me a weird look, shrug and say, for Jorge. Looking around, is there anyone nearby, in particular people who look like they probably were there for the ship departure?
Well, it looks to you like the people who are here are people who tends to the dock on a regular basis, so like dock workers. There's not anybody who seems to have been attached as like a merchant or anything to that effect, or even a superintendent over things. It's just dock workers cleaning things up. And they do look kind of odd at you as you pick up some of the glass shards. One of them says, "We're gonna get to that."
Well, always good to offer in hand, but I actually was hoping I could speak with you. Would you happen to know of a half-orc named Jorge Avila? About 6'4", really, really built, tusks, brown eyes.
No. But I'm new here.
Can I insight that?
Yeah, sure, go for it. Wow, you're rolling awesome right now. I love it.
Oh my gosh!
Damn.
So, looking at this particular fellow, you get the sense that the most thought he's put into his life is whether or not it should actually be eggs or bacon for breakfast. There's not a lot of activity behind these eyes. You genuinely believe him that he's new.
Okay. I goodness. All right. I appreciate that it's either eggs or bacon, not both. At any rate, I will smile, mostly just to be pleasant, and say thanks, and then like if there's another dock worker around, actually every dock worker I see, I will repeat the question to, adding on that he might have been here before, like working or just watching a ship be
Okay.
launched.
Okay, so you can say, roll me an investigation check, see if you can find somebody who might know something here.
Does anybody around here look like they're even any bit in charge?
Not really. That's a pretty good question there. And well, roll a perception check to see if you can notice anything in terms of rank or discipline or anything along those lines.
Oh, well, that's something I can notice pretty easily, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So up until this point in time, the only people that you have noticed that seem to have any sort of authority is a Darkin, who you already spoke with. And it's more of an authority of they trust the people obviously look up to him. Whereas with the other people who tend to have any sort of authority, it's because they're wearing city guard uniforms, and you have noticed a few of them walking up and down the docks on occasion. But aside from that, no, these guys are very much just put their head. There's a couple of them who kind of bark out a couple of orders. They look like the foreman of specific docks kind of idea, but they're, aside from that, not really. And then that actually ends up being a foreman who Marisol eventually kind of corners, and he says, we have so much change over here at these docks. I might be one of the older people around here, but the only person who's actually been here for really much longer than a month is Darkin.
Thanks, sir. If you happen to see him, or not Darkin, but Jorge, please do tell him to go to Hollow Flags Cartography.
Certainly, 6'4" of half work, I can easily tell him.
Yeah, and he might be trying to swing a sword, or a plank of wood like a sword, so you can often find him. With that, I would like to head to the shipyard after that.
Okay, so to get to the shipyard, you actually have to walk past Hollow Flags again. So as you would go there, or you could go take a different route instead and go past the slave market / main market of town as well.
Honestly, I'd like to go past Hollow Flags specifically to take down some of at least the signage of it being repossessed.
Sure. Alrighty then. Let's go with this then. So, let's see here. Oh, that's not the right page. How'd that happen? This is the one I want. Alrighty. Let's see here, ladies and gents. I think we are due for a bit of a shift. Let's get you guys to look at something different, shall we?
Oh.
Sounds good.
As you're walking along it's a fairly main thoroughfare but they do have these wooden planked sidewalks so that people could walk on that even while the ships are being pushed by. And so you now approach Hollow Flags Cartography, and you can see the two-story building. It's a little bit shorter than most of the buildings around here, but you can see the two-story building. Not much different than you had seen before. And the cool thing about Melvaunt is the buildings are very unique compared to most other buildings you guys have ever seen before. The roofs are all red shingled. It's not actually shingles. It's kind of a mud thatch that's been tainted red from the soil in the area. But it's also they are also very much kind of like I'm trying to think of the word for it. Kind of a conical peak that each of the buildings have. And so it's very iconic Melvaunt kind of buildings. And Hollow Flags is no different. You do see a main window right to the left of the doorway. You also see... Now, why isn't it that everybody didn't see that? Let me try that again. Oh, I know why. You're there. But that one's not there. There we go, that's better. And so now you can see the front of that building. And it's fairly well lit right now because the sun's high up in the sky, and it's still lighting quite nicely through the cloud cover. It's fairly windy, and the building is on your north side, or on your left, as you're walking through. And I guess I got the tokens in the wrong order as we're going through this, but so I'll fix that up real quick.
So just to have it straight, this is
the doorway,
the front door for Hollow Flags. Okay. I'd turn to the rest of the group, and looking a bit apprehensive and sheepish, rubbing the back of my neck. This is my shop, Hollow Flags Cartography. I promise it doesn't look like that most of the time, especially not since Dad stopped having bar fights. But I just wanted to take down some signs before we went to the shipyard and maybe took a closer look around in daylight.
Well, and you guys do notice on the front of it that there is a flag that is kind of hanging off of a pole off the front of the building. It's a kind of a twin-tail, pintail kind of flag that has a calligraphy Hollow Flags text on it.
See if we can find something now that there's a little bit more light.
And our heads are, well, my head's a bit clearer. I will approach the door and start taking down the signs. And I don't think I have anything in my inventory that would make it easy. So I guess I'm just like trying to rip the, I'm assuming, wood sign down with my bare hands.
What's interesting, it's actually just been a piece of thick parchment that's been nailed to the door. So you can see it's relatively easy to just rip off. You yank one of the nails out while you're doing it.
Okay. I very, pointedly ball the paper up into a wad, toss it over my shoulder, and enjoy the view of it rolling down the street. There's like wood over the doors and everything, right?
Yeah, it's been barricaded shut.
Okay. I will look to Veltris and gesture at the wood planks. Mind giving me a hand?
Not at all. And she goes straight up to it, kind of sets up her gauntlets and just kind of grips the wood planks. On the count of 3.
1,
2. Now, go ahead and roll me an athletics check
2.
with advantage. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, you pull and you can kind of sort of feel like it should give, but you need a bit more. It's nailed on there pretty solid, and pretty good and strong.
Okay. I will keep doing this till these planks of wood come off my house.
City
I
guard.
give some assistance with using my hand axe as a pry bar.
Oh, that you could certainly try for sure. I'll let you roll that real quick first before the next thing comes up. Go for it.
What do you want to roll for that?
It'll still be in athletics on this case, because you're trying to use that. You're trying to use your strength for it.
See if my dice rolls are any better. Nope, never are.
Oh, but it would have been with advantage because you have other people helping you out. So go ahead and roll again.
Oh.
There we go. Yeah. So now you're finally able to peel it off. As it kind of and kind of breaks off the doorway. You weren't paying really close attention to all the people that were around you, and you see coming from the east side a couple of city guard come walking up to you. Says, state your business, and you can see their hands are on their scimitar handles.
Do I recognize the guards at all?
No, you do not recognize the guards.
Okay.
You recognize that they are guards.
Yeah, and armed. I huffing, catch my breath. Sorry, guardsman. This is my shop, and I just got the deed back for it, and don't exactly have a hammer.
Present the deed.
With one hand purposely raised up, not that I can't murder them with my bare fists, I reach in and grab both the deed of ownership and my guild membership papers just for like extra proof of identity and hand it over.
All right. Oh, wow. So we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to see what we can do about bringing Indani into this game here, too. So right here is where we'll take our break, and we'll come back in just a couple of moments then.
All right.
All right.
All right, and we're back, and we have Indani, who just got out of a wicked storm, apparently, so that she could come and still join us. Yay! So, Indani, where you have been left off is at the camp and cart that was set out on the east side of the city of Melvaunt, outside the city gate, and you've been left there with Serge. And so, what it was kind of sitting there. Unusual for Serge and you is it's been relatively quiet since the rest of the group left early in the morning. And you're watching Serge after a little bit. You start watching Serge, and Serge is very much distant and looking out into the ocean, taking deep breaths through the nose, closing his eyes. Sighing.
Something on your mind.
Last time I was this close to the ocean, I wanted to get back on it, and we went inland and ended up dealing with wormlings and manticores and other shit I can't handle. Just like the ocean. I prefer the water. That's all there is to it.
That's fair. We all have our preferences. I wouldn't say you cannot handle the rest. We're all alive, aren't we?
A couple times. The thing is, on the water, I'm not useless. On the water, I'm strong.
And on the water, I would likely be quite useless. We all have our strengths, but that does not mean we are completely useless elsewhere.
And he'll just kind of sigh and be silent for a couple. You know, the only reason I'm with these people is because I could help save somebody back in Flan, and I didn't really want to do all this. I just want to find my ship. I want to find my captain. I know it's useful, but it's not what my body is being called to do.
Sounds an awful lot like you're saying you're finished your time with us.
And he kind of looks at you a little hurt at first. And then he takes a breath and... I don't know. Maybe. I don't want to leave Marisol and her family in lurch. But we haven't been getting along, and you and I know that.
I'm well aware, although I'm sure, especially with the lack of information, she would appreciate any assistance, regardless of who it came from.
Well, I'm going to help. I'm going to help what I can here. But you're probably right. I'm not probably much longer for being on land. I need to get on the water again. I need to get where I can actually feel useful, to be useful. Get what I mean when I say that? Maybe you guys need to go in the water too. Who knows?
Circumstances, but in a general sense, it's something I can understand.
But if you guys want to go in the water, you know that I can help certainly handle it. So, I mean, if that's where we end up having to go, then that would be great. And I can stick around with you guys. But I don't feel that's where you guys are going next. I think you got to go wherever Marisol's family's going. Yeah.
I would tend to agree with that. That seems to be our current pressing engagement.
Don't tell him yet, hey?
No, of course. This is something best coming from you when you are ready to speak on it.
You're good people, you know that, right?
There are some who might disagree.
There's some that would be wrong then, too.
Considering those who would disagree, I would agree with that.
He chuckles. All right. So, what do you say? Little game of cards?
If you're ready to lose.
So you guys start in on the game of cards. It's that would have gotten you guys to probably just at the beginning of the midday, and you still haven't heard word from the group at all. At which point, Serge would say, "Think they're okay? You think we need to actually check in on them at all, or I don't like sitting."
Personally, I would feel much better seeing for myself that they're all right.
Yeah, me too. streets aren't all that small, you know. I don't see why we're sitting out here with the wagon. I suppose it's just the stink of the wormling, maybe, hey? Wonder if we can
Well.
do something about that.
Possible. Which is also more. Originally, we did not want it to seem as though she was coming in attack mode with a group. The off chance
Oh,
that it
yes.
caused issues. But
Oh, and
now
that
with
would have.
how long we've been gone, perhaps being in a larger group would not be such a bad idea.
Where would we have? Where do you figure we'd find them? Probably.
Best place I can think to start would be her family shop, no?
Want to do it?
I'm tired of sitting around as well. I say we should.
And with that, he just kind of claps his hands, stands up, lifting himself up with his knees, and that's the spirit. That's what I need. Salt in the air is certainly helping. Let's do this. And they get into. You guys start kind of packing up the cart and making your way in. And Donnie, I'm going to get you to roll an investigation check so that we can figure out how long it takes for you to figure out where the shop is. And
Sitting
then.
away a roll a long ass time.
Yeah.
That's a 5.
Well, we are going to see when you finally arrive. We'll bring ourselves back to the group then in the meantime.
Oh, yikes.
Yay. Okay, so back with the group that's at the Hollow Flags. A couple of city guard have now approached you, and you have now handed over your papers proving that you are indeed the owner. One of the city guard, they both still have their hands on their hilts, but the one that's looking over the paperwork says, "You saw Telvin again, didn't you? Yeah, okay. Here, look at his writing. Kid's gotta learn." And the guards just kind of start chuckling. "Yeah, it's yours. Take care of yourselves."
Thank you. I'll take back my papers, and before they leave, again, guardsman, would you happen to know anything about the break-in that happened at my shop, or know where to point me in the direction of for someone who might?
And the one who held the papers is the one that responds. The other one is looking obviously clueless. The one that would held the paper responds saying, "Well, they made me put that barricade up in the sign. I'm going to say is around 2.5 weeks ago, but I'm not sure when it was left. All I know is that it was abandoned for a long time, and that Karen wasn't getting any pay out of it, and they were ragging him for it. So."
Would you happen to know Karen Chase's route, by chance?
Oh, yes, certainly. He takes care of pretty much this entire row. And he just kind of gestures up and down this main thoroughfare. Which is, relatively busy with comers and goers.
Would you have a description of him?
Long hair, blonde. He usually likes to think he's clean shaven, but he's not. Almost always has a 5 o'clock shadow. Short. Short like, not short like him, points to Autumn, but short.
For a human, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Yeah, good luck. Welcome. Watch out for all those, crazy potion makers.
Potion makers?
It's Melvaunt. You'll get to know it in a bit. And they make their way and they continue on their rounds.
Does potion makers ring any bells for me?
You know that there is a fairly strong black market trade in Melvaunt, and that potions tend to be part of that.
Is this like a drug thing, or is this like legit potions?
In the world of the Forgotten Realms, yes is the answer to that question.
It's both.
Good to know. Okay. I scrunch my nose at that and shake my head. Turn to the rest of the group. All right. If anything, I figure waiting for Kieran here in the shop might be best. If he's coming down this thoroughfare anyway, I'll have to pass by Hollow Flags at some point.
Oh, the guy's back at the, what was it called again? The place where you got the deed. Said that he doesn't make his rounds
Yeah,
for another
sorry.
couple of days.
Shit. Fuck. We could wait him out here or go looking further. It'd be worth investigating Aunt Sylvia or Carmen.
True, and we might be helpful to clean this place up a little bit, and that might take
Yeah.
a couple of days.
Might be worth to go get Donnie and Serge then,
Yeah.
and make contact with my employers at this point.
Do you know where you could even do that at this time?
My overseer was in Flan. That was, well, at this point, a while ago. He might be back in the city at this point. I'm guessing, Wendy, that I wouldn't know like a drop point or some sort of thing like that where I can do business with the Zentarum in the city.
You are familiar with the idea that the Zentarum, the feeling that you got from the Zentarum is that they're everywhere. And that if you ever wanted to talk to them, it probably wouldn't necessarily happen as readily as when they wanted to talk to you. But your best chance of finding them anywhere would be probably in the market itself. And just being visible in the market and ready for them to approach you.
Okay. I wish I had some sort of drop point with them, but the best way to do it is waiting yet again. Gotta love working for these people.
I would assume if they know you're back here, they'll come contact you pretty quickly.
Well, with the amount of questions I've been asking, it's distracting some heads.
I think I can speed up our cleaning in here if you want to leave me here while you go get Donnie and Serge.
No offense, but I'm not leaving you in my shop with all of my personal belongings. Let's all go back gates.
I can stand outside the shop if that makes you feel better and still do the cleaning.
We're gonna be here for 2 days, Autumn. Let's just go as a group. This place is not one city that you want to be alone in, let alone in a shop where it's been ransacked.
As a reminder, we do still need to pick up a pearl.
We'll find a shop for you.
I assume. I'm just keeping it on the mind.
Easy enough to do in the market.
And actually, you wouldn't actually think of the market at first. When it comes to trying to pick up a pearl, chances are the place that you would actually end up thinking of is either Hermuk's All Goods, or if on a lucky day, Blacklebuck's Swap Shop.
Is that like a pawn shop?
You get the sense from the name when, like, if Marisol mentions it to you, you would get the sense from the name that might very well be what it is, or something like it.
Alright, well, let's go get them, and we'll figure that out later.
Well, and as you say that, you look up, and sure enough, there is a cart wheeling down that main thoroughfare with Serge on the reins, looking slightly uncomfortable trying, and Indani with her as well. With him as well.
They really don't like to listen.
A hand very audibly claps over Marisol's eyes, and a very long sigh is released from her.
Never has seemed to have been one of their strong suits.
I start waving them down. Make sure they can see where we are.
At which point Donnie just probably just like punches Surge's shoulder and points, be like, over there. We found
I
it.
think it's pretty obvious to see the half-orc, giant man in green, the short dwarf, and the lady in bright shining armor.
Yeah, right. Alright, so let's get those tokens on the board. And there we go. We've got Indani.
Fast movement.
And yeah, so we'll just say for the sake of discussion that your cart shows up in the right spot as well. Or that Surge just kind of parks the cart kind of out front with the horses and such. And I've got static coming in from somebody. I'm thinking that's Indani. There we go.
Hang on. I will adjust my fan.
There we go.
That'll help.
There we go. Okay, so are you heading in then?
I would assume
Without-
so, ignoring the fact that I'm getting all sorts of dirty looks.
And Surge is obviously paying no never mind either.
I look to Roman as soon as they pass by me. 1 week, and I want to murder both of them.
Hang on. Hang on. Surge is going to say, listen, we felt we were going to do more good for you here, instead than sitting out there soaking up the rays that aren't even showing.
By wheeling in the giant corpse on our wagon?
Well, you don't have to say it out loud.
It's
That's
still
why it's
pretty
whispered!
visible.
And Donnie, you're still having some fairly big challenges with your microphone right now.
Oh, this sucks.
Have you
Sorry.
tried plugging it in and out again?
Is your fan pointed at your microphone?
It's turned off.
That's crazy.
It's fine now.
Yeah, there, now it's fine, so go figure.
Okay, fantastic.
Now it's back.
Oh, it's whenever you speak, I guess.
Great.
That's better. That's good right there. We'll just leave it right there for now. I'll let you know if it becomes a problem again. It's good right now, though. So,
I've literally done nothing, but I can swap out my old headset if it does become a problem.
okay, sounds good. Let's leave it alone for now, though. So Surge says, listen, I'll stay out here and I'll watch things. It's not a big deal. It's daylight. You've been in here for a long time. We really had no idea things were going okay. And we're not about to leave you high and dry.
I appreciate the sudden loyalty, but look, this place... Great, now we need to get in contact with the Zone Cell sooner. Let's just get inside and Roman and I will figure out where to put this thing in the meantime. Wendy, is there any sort of like location we can go like store this cart? Because I'm assuming I don't have like a back alley or like a garage or some sort.
There are spaces along the side of the building. In fact, there's a couple of places on the side of the building you've actually escaped the second floor on occasion. In fact, it was actually the side of that same side of the building that you snuck into the building last night on. So there's places where you could put the cart where it'd be out of the way and out of obvious general sight, but it's still not very good cover per se. That being said, the cart is covered. The wagon is a covered wagon. Indani, it did get bad again, so I muted you just for a couple, so we could talk that through. But you might actually need to change your microphone.
All right. Well, I guess
Sorry.
if we're moving the cart, Roman's gonna kick Surge off and take over since he clearly doesn't know what he's doing with it.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so and you can easily maneuver the cart to the side of the building without any hassle. little bit of push to get the cart over top of the sidewalk, but aside from that, the horses pull and away it goes.
All right. As long as, like, the corpse part of the cart is out of sight.
It very definitely is. It's been covered. It's the only thing that's slightly noticeable visually is flies.
Oh.
That's it.
I wonder if Odom. Wait, do I have a spell? I think. Oh, do I have Prestidigitation? Because I think I'm
Ooh.
supposed to. Maybe I didn't take it. Am I missing a cantrip?
I
Maybe
don't
I'm
think
not.
you are.
I don't know. I don't.
So prestidigitation, I don't think will do quite what
It
you want.
can
to do.
change smells at least. So, if you make it smell
Alright.
pretty, the flies might go away.
It'll make it smell.
I am missing a cantrip. Actually, I'm missing Thaumaturgy.
It'll make it smell not rotting meat.
I think we'll then need to check out your cantrips then, Roman, because I think we may have had. That's a lot of cantrips, even though you are multi-class. That's still a lot of
Yeah,
cantrips.
I took Thaumaturgy at level 1, so.
Okay. Yeah, we'll check it out later. If you want to put her on there for now, then that's fine. It's not a big deal. So you're going to use Prestidigitation then, are you, Autumn?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so you do so. The flies take a couple of moments to dissipate, but they're not there anymore. They do disappear after a bit.
It'll work for a little bit. Have to come out every hour or so, though.
Okay. And what are you guys doing then?
Thanking Roman first for doing that, and then heading inside.
All right. And how are you going inside? Are you just going in the doorway? Is that what you're doing?
Actually, not breaking in and entering my own home this time, so yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, you just ripped the barricade off, so that shouldn't be too much of a hassle. So you guys can now step in to the Hollow Flags Cartography.
How trashed is the storeroom?
It is looking, well, you are expecting to see a lot of the things that you do see. You're expecting to see the shelves with lots of books and scrolls and obviously map canisters on it. You are also expecting to see the shelving units on the right-hand side that have some of the most commonly requested maps in the shop. And you are expecting to see basically the shopkeeper's counter to your left as well. What you're not expecting to see is a whole bunch of these books and scrolls tossed about the room. And that is what the room looks like, is the entire space. The space is around 40 feet by 30 feet big. It's but it is obviously ransacked. There are 3 bookshelves that are obviously normally stuffed with books and scrolls that are no longer so. There is a study table with 2 stools in the northwest corner, and in the middle of the east wall is a hallway to the rest of the building. But yeah, it's pretty ransacked, and it's pretty dusty now too, for that matter. A couple of cobwebs, not too many. Spiders haven't really moved completely in yet.
All right. As soon as I enter, breath catches yet again, and I'm trying very hard not to ball my fists in anger. Take a breath. And just as I'm going along, pick up whatever book or scroll or map case and set it to rights on the bookshelf. But I'm not currently looking. And actually, I will continue doing this until at least the main area is cleared up, like around the front door in particular.
Sure. Okay. And what are the rest of you guys doing?
When Autumn comes in, I'm gonna immediately open up my spell book.
Aha. Okay.
And I'm going to chant some quick words after grabbing a small, puppet, and say Abotheth Umnat Zudha, which will summon an unseen servant.
Oh, how nice.
And I start commanding it to, like, clean.
And it does. It finds a broom in a corner and starts sweeping up. It lights the torch that is in the room as well, and which it finds behind one of the bookshelves. And it's starting to write everything, put some books on the shelves. Anything else that anybody else is doing? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Autumn.
Yeah, sorry, I got one more thing.
Sure.
And then I'm going to start ritual casting Unseen Servant for a second servant.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just going to
Is
start
it
like
not a
actually doing.
concentration spell?
It's not.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but like they only last for an hour, so like I can only have up to like 5 for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
What the fuck?
That's
I have
hilarious.
to sit down and ritual cast here. Like I'm chewing up my time to clean.
That's hilarious.
Let me be.
All right. So.
No, I'm impressed with the number you can have. You can have a small army.
Of
can't
servants.
I
Yeah,
can't fight.
they can't fight.
That's funny.
With
So.
an army of cleaners, leave me be.
Roman will
Hey, there are
assist as
days
best
when
he
people
can.
want armies of cleaners too.
Are you kidding? I want that. Anyway, so you've got an unseen servant that's now kind of cleaning up. Now, are you directing them to clean up only this space or the entire house?
The entire house.
Ah, okay, fair enough. So it's
As
working.
soon as he starts,
So as you're putting some books and scrolls back onto the somewhat meticulously, Marisol, I'm going to get you to roll an investigation check real quick. Sorry, not investigation, perception check. Perception check real quick. But as you're doing this, you're noticing that some of the books and scrolls are just magically lifting up and moving onto the shelves themselves. You don't see how this is happening.
Can I look over and see the dwarf being weird?
Not with a 5.
I mean, I'm
Okay.
ritual casting. It's not quiet.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so he's making some noise, but you're very much focused on the books and the shelves and getting those in the right spots.
Okay, as soon as some books start going in the wrong spot, I'm like grabbing them out of whatever invisible hands are doing this and like putting them in the right spot. Like pretty much just very much backseat cleaning everything that the invisible servants are doing.
Marvelous. And Roman, what are you doing throughout all this?
I guess assisting as best as he can. Like this kind of cleaning is not generally a type of cleaning he does.
Right.
He's used to living in a barracks.
Okay, so kind of helping.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then, Indani, what are you doing during this time?
As soon as she sees the state of the place and that Marisol has started cleaning, she will follow suit. And unlike some people, she is quite familiar with this sort of cleaning and organizing of studies and libraries. So she does probably not as good a job as Marisol, but probably a better job than the unseen servants at getting stuff in the right place.
Sure. So get
And
you
the
to roll a
piles of things
perception
that are
check,
getting
too.
placed.
So Indani can roll me a perception check as well, then, please.
Okay. Hopefully I roll better.
All right. So, and as you're going through, you find a couple of scrolls, and you end up having to take it over to Marisol, who kind of ends up taking it and putting it in the right spot, or says, "No, that one can go over there," and kind of gives some directions to get the things back in the spots where you think they're supposed to, where everybody thinks they're supposed to be. The unseen servant, after a little bit, kind of, a lot of the dust has kind of been swept up. Autumn, because you're familiar with where your unseen servant is and what it's actually doing, you can sense a frustration from it. And you look in the back and you realize that the bookshelf in the back has been tilted against the wall and is not standing upright the way it's supposed to. And that it's trying to right the bookshelf, but it's got a strength of where it can only push 10, right? So
I'll command it to ignore doing that for now and
okay,
continue on out cleaning elsewhere.
fair enough.
Are you going to tell us that that's a thing?
I mean, I assume we'll get to that eventually.
I mean, is it an obvious thing that this bookshelf is not standing correctly?
It was at first. It wasn't at first because it was in the very back and kind of hidden, but now it will be noticeable.
No. I mean, if it's very noticeable now, that's something Roman can fix.
All right, so Roman, you go ahead and fix it. I'm gonna change that lovely little thing in the map now, so that it actually looks right then too. There we go. And you write yourself a bookshelf. How's that?
Nice.
I assume by
Serge?
this point I've got my second unseen servant as well.
Yes, by this point in time, you'll have your second unseen servant. Serge is
I'm
just
going
kind
to
of hanging
command
out
that
the front.
second one to check out the kitchen. I assume
Okay.
there's a kitchen in here somewhere.
Well, you send it to check out a kitchen, and it walks down the hallway. And it walks back and shrugs.
Well, then I'll just have him join in on the cleaning.
Okay.
Marisol, do we want to check upstairs?
You very clearly just interrupted her in the middle of like her flow where she's like just barking orders at everyone as soon as it looks like they're going to put anything in the wrong spot. Right now I think room by room would be best. I just seeing it like this is hard.
I think
Well-
Odom and whatever he did is doing at least a useful job.
He did something?
Sorry.
The floating books. I think Roman has seen the Unseen Servant before, I believe.
You've seen the effects of Unseen Servant before, yes.
Yeah, I don't think he knows that that's the spell he's using, but he knows that that's something Odom specifically is doing.
I mean,
Sure.
Odom is basically pulling a wizard's apprentice right now with like
Yeah.
hand gestures, kind of like
Yeah.
moving stuff around.
Yeah, the floating things, that's Odom.
All right. So after a little bit, Autumn, you do know how happen to feel the pull for the servants to actually start going down the hallway, because the room is now starting to look relatively kept. Marisol, there's a few scrolls that you don't really recognize exactly where they're supposed to go because they seem to be new to you, but you get a pretty good sense as to where they're supposed to be. They're because they're of temples that are related to Tyr or to the Red Knight or to Denir. You kind of know where the categories of those were for the most part. There's been a few things that have shifted and changed, but for the most part, everything is still has its place.
Okay. In the mindset to do this. While I'm going through this, is there anything that all seems out of place in like a fashion of what might have related to the break-in? Like, is there stuff that's missing? Stuff that's like been taken at all?
You can roll an investigation check to find out.
I gladly will.
There it is. Nice! Jeez, Marisol. I want you on my team.
I want to find my family so bad.
You don't find anything in this particular space that you've been spending time in. However, you do know that this is not the place where your folks would keep the most important things. That they do have a study hall and a workroom that's further down the hallway. What he would call the cartography room, where most of his important information would be.
Okay. I will wait till this whole room is put to rights, and then I'd like to go through the rest of the house, room by room, organizing it, and still parsing through for anything that's missing or looks like it was taken.
Sure. Now, Autumn apparently seems to be interested in going through the house before you, so you would probably have to notice Autumn starting to go down the hallway first. Autumn, I'm going to get you to roll me a quick perception check too for me, please.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm busy being a virtuoso.
There you go.
As soon as the dwarf heads down the hallway,
Mhm.
I'm like very much like a mother bear watching her cubs go somewhere that they should not be, and like just this impending dread I imagine can creep up Autumn's spine as two very pointed brown eyes are staring at the back of his skull. Autumn,
Not with that perception check, you
appreciate-
would never notice this.
Yeah.
Oh my
Autumn's
God.
dead as a brick.
Yeah, not only did he roll a nat 1, it's a 0.
I am impressed.
I sent
And how
one servant
oblivious
into
he is?
this room to go and clean.
All right.
I look over to Robin and I tell him, get the dwarf to wait for me before I murder him, please.
Alright.
And I'll send one into this room.
Roman will go and walk up behind Odom. I'm assuming because of Odom's perception check, he has absolutely zero idea that Roman is approaching.
I would
No,
say that's
not at
probably
all.
true. Yeah, I'm going to get you to roll a perception check while you're at it too, please, Roland.
Wow. My rolls today are just bad. I had one
Yeah.
good athletics roll, and that was
guys,
it.
You guys should have let Marisol go first. She would have gotten a 20 plus.
She told me to go first, so I went first.
So I didn't murder someone, but I mean, like, you could have shoved me
It's
through.
probably because it's probably the fact that I'm not noticing the unseen servants doing a thing.
Yeah, there you go. So you get over to Autumn and approach. How do you approach him?
Oh, definitely from behind. And then I just kind of lay a hand on his shoulder.
Oh, oh, sorry. You scared the shit out of me. Oh,
You are very oblivious, my friend.
all right, I guess. What's the problem? Ooh.
Remember, this is, Marisol's house. It's probably best she takes a look at things before you start doing your magic stuffs on them.
You hear a scrape in the room to the north as one of the unseen servants starts pushing a chair back in.
I immediately command everything to stop.
Okay.
This is probably a good point. And I'm like, Autumn is basically just like, he was waving his hands back and forth, and
Yeah,
then
so-
he just stopped moving them.
And the unseen servant, when you look in that room, Roman, what you notice is a sextant is now just floating over top of the table. Just sitting there, not moving.
You can put it down, Odom. Because for all Roman knows, Odom is the one holding it from that far away.
Mental command, it's down on the desk.
Then puts it down.
Yeah, it's just, she wants to make sure nothing's missing.
Fair.
Or destroyed. Something of the like. So, plus, it seems she has very specific places for all of these things to go. And whatever you're doing, doesn't seem to be getting it right most of the time.
I'm doing it by proper organization purposes.
Well, I mean, apparently your version of proper and her version of proper are quite different.
Technically, it's not my version. I believe it was developed by. And I start flipping through my book.
Roman just stands there, like hands on his sides, just like, whatever. He's just gonna let it happen. But he'll look back to Marisol and give her the nod.
Oldevere Thornburg.
He sounds like an old guy with a gray beard.
I believe that's actually a pretty apt description.
Yeah. those guys tend to not know how to make things like that work.
It's the exact method we use at the tome.
Maybe it works on a large scale then.
Possibly. My apologies. I'll have to have Marisol teach me.
I'd let her do her thing first. That way she
Marisol!
can make sure.
I start shouting down the hall.
And by this point in
You
time, the
pretty
main
quickly get her attention.
by this point in time,
like
the main
I'm digging
hall
around
is
Roman.
kind of settled in enough and organized enough, Marisol, that you could say, okay, there's nothing that I'm going to find in here that's going to give me any extra clues. And this space looks like it's pretty okay. Not completely back to normal. There's some things that I obviously need repairs, but things are in the right place.
Those little repairs will drive me nuts, but I'll ignore it for now. I'll shuffle down the hallway a bit.
Okay, roll me a perception check. And Donnie, while Marisol's rolling that perception check, Serge is you're gonna notice Serge kind of lean in and speak to you and just simply say, just gonna keep eyes out here for a bit longer, okay?
Oh, Sam, you're muted.
And with that perception check, Marisol, let's see here. You take a step on the floor, right where you're standing, and as you step there, you hear like something feels kind of strange about the way that your foot made a sound.
Like a hollow sound, but I'm
very much so a hollow sound, but you're not familiar with having heard this hollow sound often before. Maybe you've just never been big enough to notice. Because you one of the things that you are noticing now that you're back in this building is that everything looks different when you're taller. But now the floor sounds different too.
I'm going to step on that floorboard again and then take a step further to compare sounds.
Yeah, and you'll notice that it's actually not it's not a floorboard, it's a stone floor. But somehow you can actually hear a little bit. I don't know if you've ever stepped on a chunk of sidewalk where it has kind of been eroded out from underneath it, or a driveway or something like that, and you can just kind of hear there's just a little bit of a hollow sound to it. That's the kind of sound that you get, and it's only in that one spot. And you kind of look to the wall to your right, and you're like, well, that's where the stairs are. But that's stairs going up, not stairs going down.
Does Roman notice the sudden change in like her doing things where she's stepping back and forth between a couple of tiles?
Oh, absolutely. She was about to.
Not with the 7. No way. You barely noticed the sextant.
No, the 7.
I mean, notably, Autumn literally called for Marisol and was waiting for her to come down this hall.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Fine. So yeah, you'll notice.
I mean, like,
I don't know which way Roman is currently facing. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming he would have at least looked back towards Marisol when Autumn did the call, but I don't know if he's still looking in that direction.
You also would have definitely looked as soon as Autumn gave the weird look of, what are you doing?
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, probably. Is something wrong, Marisol?
The stone, I'm going to lean down and I'm going to, if it looks like there's at all a place where I can lift this, I'd like to.
Okay, go ahead and, while you spend a little bit of time looking at the stonework, it doesn't look like it's been adjusted. Like, it looks like it's always looked. And it starts to really throw you. Has this always sounded like this? Like, is this what it used to be like when I was younger too? Am I off my rocker? Am I hearing things now because I'm looking for things?
If I put my hands on the stone and feel like one crackwork in particular, like, is there any sign that this is like a hollow, like, compartment or something?
There is no sign. It looks like it hasn't. It looks like it had always been built that way.
Okay. I'm going to stand up and for the most part look just very confused and shake my head. Guess that's step too heavy sometime or something. And look to the men. Sorry, the floor is weird and guess I'm just a lot more jumpy now that we're here.
How about we finish with the rest of the house and take another look at it later? There, for all we know, there very well could be something wrong with the floor.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
So not to make you, but I did already start cleaning here. I can have them. I can put it all back though, if you would prefer.
Did they know where those things were when they found them?
I would presume so.
Roll
Then,
Them.
as
It's not you?
roll a straight intelligence check. Well, you know what? Actually, I'll let you go for a history check if you would like, Autumn, on this one.
Sure. I will do such a thing.
Yeah, you feel relatively comfortable that the unseen servants will remember. Not so much that it's actually the unseen servants remembering, it's like actually that you are remembering on behalf of the unseen servants. It's using your intelligence, and they're trying to use your memory. You feel relatively certain that you can get them back pretty much the same spot.
I can get it back. I just kind of like wait for yeah, do that or no, don't.
Yeah, put them back. I want to make
All right. The rooms get messier.
And the unseen servant didn't have a long time to actually be able to do anything, so basically the chair gets pulled back out again, the sextant gets placed in a different spot on the table. And then you see a cobweb in one of the corners, kind of dancing, and then you realize that it's trying to put the cobweb back.
No problem. Just like stop that.
And the unseen servant shrugs at you.
Also, them, Odom?
I spell. I'm using magic.
Yeah. You're summoning things?
Yes, kind of. It's more I'm summoning forces.
Roma takes a look in the room very hard, still sees nothing, looks back at Odom very confused.
So when you look in the room, you do see a 20-foot by 20-foot room. Marisol, you know this is the place where Gerzon made most of his maps. In the middle of the room is a drafting table that had all these pieces of equipment on it. Along the inside walls are some other maps that have been leafed through by the ransackers. So you can see that they're kind of torn apart. There's some tomes of some sort that are on the back shelf as well. And that pretty much covers what you could see from this location.
Judith
made them. Sorry, yeah. You're right. Judith made them, not Gerzon. Sorry, Judith made these maps.
Sorry, just to clarify, Judith was the one that owned the shop, ran it, and been in her family for years. Gerzon married him, and like has basically been just like a hired hand helping out however he can since he's an ex-adventurer.
Gotcha. Okay. So we'll do some adjustments from what I was writing for my notes then, and that's fine.
Oh, it's all good. I still wanted to talk with you anyway to wrap up any clarification issues like that. So, okay.
So you guys go in?
Really quickly, we'll add to the boys. Yeah, I just want to make sure that, well, nothing's taken, and if there's any clues at all, I need to know before we put this place back to the way it should be.
Roman will step out of the doorway and, extend a hand to, let her walk in.
I'll head in.
All right. And so you're looking around the room before you start doing some cleaning up? Is that what's going on?
This time, yeah, I'll
Okay.
be very intently looking to see. Same thing. Any clues at all?
Well, sure. Roll an investigation check for me. And Donnie, what is it that you are doing through all this?
Well, considering I was following Marisol's lead on the cleaning, I likely would have seen her stepping funny on that stone.
Okay.
So what I would like to do is slip my dagger out of my boot and inspect it to see if there's like a gap under it.
Sure, you can certainly do so. With your dagger, as you get to that step or to that little stonework, through your looking. You know what? I'm going to say roll an investigation check on this one real quick for me. Through your looking with the dagger, yeah, you kind of edge around the stonework where you would expect that there would be a relief or some space in the grout or something to that effect, but it does feel like it has always been this way, that there is a tiny bit of erosion in it, but nothing that is like saying there's an opening here. It's just, but you do pound on it a couple of times with your fist, and you definitely hear something hollow underneath it too, but not something hollow that seems to have an access from here.
When I pound on it, per se, can I get a sense of how large the hollow is? Like, is it just a very quiet thud, or does it seem like it's like just going completely out into a much larger space?
With a roll of a 9, it's pretty tough to tell.
Yeah.
But it does
fair
make
enough.
you think that there might be something going on down there, or at the worst, really bad water drainage system happening here. That's just
Okay.
eroding out from underneath the building.
Well, in that case, if they are going to be dealing with that room in particular, until we all get Parasol's blessing to start cleaning, Indani is going to go around the room just like tapping different stones with her foot to see if she gets a similar hollowness to any of them.
Sure. So you guys are now noticing Indani doing an interesting little jig as she's making her way down the hallway. Marisol.
Donnie tap danced.
I'm just going to do a quick little adjustment here. There we go. Did not like that, so I'm afraid I can't get that one to go for you. Yeah, I won't be able to get that one go for you, Marisol, so I'll have to try and figure out a different way of dealing with that later on. Okay, so with Marisol, with your wonderful roll of a 20 in this room, what you do see, there are the back shelf. The tomes are on the back. These are now all new. Nothing that you see on the shelves here are what you're used to seeing, which isn't a surprise because this is Judith's workspace. And so what you do see on the back there is a variety of tomes that have some lore from the Sea of the Fallen Stars area, which is really a huge area in Faerûn. You look at the table, and yes, there are some maps and some things on the table, but as you're looking at the table, you do notice that underneath a couple of corners, on the corners of the table, are some torn sheets, and you realize that this must have been a map that was ripped off the table at one point in time. So you look really carefully at these torn sheets, and on one of these torn sheets, you see a little bit of scribbling on it, a little bit of words. And the result was so the words that one of the words you see, it's cut off, but you can easily see the beginning of the word, beginning of a word, mount or mountain or something along those lines. And then on another one you see, now this is near the right hand edge of the map, so you know that this word was at the end of the map, and it's something falls. Something falls.
Okay.
And that's what you're able to find in this room. Aside from everything else that's in here, it's either been anything else that would have been of value appears as though it's not there. Nothing here seems to be jumping out at you as saying this is what they were here for. Whatever it was that they were here for, it's either not in this room or they took it with them.
Okay. If I look, I'm assuming that there isn't, but is there anything on Mom's work table that looks like it has anything in it that says Mountain Falls or anything like that?
Well, it looks to you like the two maps that you see the chunks of are two different maps. So that the mountain was one map and the falls was a different map. But there's everything else that you see around. There's a book of lore that's opened up on the back shelf that has to do with the Dragonspine Mountains. There's a book of lore that has to do with Chisenta. There's a book of lore that has to do with Flan again, particularly reaches up to some place up the Stojano River. Another one about West Galena Mountains, which kind of clicks in for you that was where you just were. It was at the southern end of the West Galena Mountains. So there's lots here, but it's still somewhat disambiguated.
Okay. I'll head over to the people in the hallway and inform them. This place is off limits for cleaning. I think there's something in here.
Can I ask what kind of thing?
2 of Mom's maps are missing, and I'm wondering if it's something to do with what happened here.
Being familiar with mapping, with maps, not specifically like making maps, but like maps themselves, would Roman be able? Is that something Roman would be able to tell that general areas that that maps are talking about just by by looking at the edges or something like that? If he's able to see them.
You could. You know what, I'm going to say this. One of the books, one of the tomes or one of the maps that you see available there looks an awful lot like the map that you guys already have with you. And so you pulled out the map that you used to actually get to Mountain Home. And sure enough, it's pretty much the same map. It's just that Mountain Home's not on it. Mountain Home's not on yours. It's on the one that Judith had, though.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll point that out, that, the map we have is the map that they took, except Mountain Home is missing.
Wait, what?
Look at the map. Then he will show the map and then reference the border of the map that she was looking at earlier. It's the same map. It's just Mountain Home doesn't exist, and he'll point to where Mountain Home should be on the map, or at least it doesn't exist on our version of the map. Your mom seemed to somehow, or whoever was making the map. I don't think Roman would have any idea as to who, but whoever was making the map, somehow knew of the town there.
And you're looking at that map in particular, and it's obviously been scrawled on there, and kind of thinking a little bit about it, it might be a little bit off of the right location for where Mountain Home was. But Marisol, when you look at it, it's Judith's handwriting.
The map we've been using is my mom's map?
No, the map that you've been using is one that's fairly standard. It's just that the one that your mom had, she had scratched on Mountain Home onto the map.
Okay. I'm gonna rip the map out of Roman's hands and spread it out on the wall and just there's like actual a bit mist forming in my eyes that I'm very quickly like blinking away. And I just like run a hand over the mountain home name on the map and sigh very deeply. You beautiful woman, what did you get into? That's my mom's handwriting.
Aren't all of these maps hers?
Am I like severely mistaken? And the one that sorry, allow me to not
Here.
have an ADD moment.
Let me clear it up for you, just to be clear about it. So the map that you guys have always had to help you guys get to Mountain Home, you didn't actually have a location of Mountain Home on it. You had somebody point to a spot on the map. They said Mountain Home's around here. And so, and it's a fairly standard fairly standard North Moon Sea area map. And so seeing this very standard map in your parents' map house is not a shock. What is potentially a little bit of a shock is the fact that on this very standard map, on Judith's own copy of this very standard map, she scrawled on the word Mountain Home. And pretty close to where you found the community.
Okay, so this was in my parents' shop, not the one we've been carrying around. Okay,
Yes.
good to know that I'm just being real stupid right now. Okay.
Yeah, that was an explanation issue. That's not a you thing. That's an explanation issue. We're good now.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Sorry, I have a question then.
Mm-hmm.
For Marisol, I guess, but like kind of the GM.
Okay.
How did your mother know of Mountain Home? If it's like basically forgotten to the world.
I don't know.
Do you think it would have had anything to do with the Zentarum? Being as they wanted to send you there as well?
My only guess is it has to. I mean, she was the only one that knew Dad was involved with them, and then me. And it has to have a connection somehow. And if it wasn't that, then maybe some sort of client was after it or something.
Seems like a strange place to be looking after if you don't know it exists.
What? I feel like we've gotten ourselves into the middle of something very big.
The promise of what could be can drive men to do unspeakable things.
Aye. But we were also sent there by the Gauntlet as well.
To
Which
recover
means-
stolen items.
Hey, do we think the Zentarum stole the items, or do you think there's another faction in play we don't know about?
I doubt. Well, if the Zentarum had stolen the items, I don't believe that they would have taken them to Mountain Home and then sent Marisol there.
Mountain
Well,
Home
they didn't
was.
send Marisol for loot.
They
It
sent
was
me
their-
to get like a protection rocket or something there. They weren't interested in the items there.
I doubt they even know they exist.
So there's probably a third party we're not aware of yet.
I believe it is a third party. However, I don't know if this third party is involved in any of this. It's too early to say.
There's something going on here, though. If my mother was looking into Mountain Home for any reason at all, that's in and of itself odd. Sure, she and Dad went to chart unspecified territories a lot. That's how they met. But a tiny town in a mountain range that just has an export of ore, that's not their MO.
And not even just ore. It's specifically just quartz.
Where are we missing?
And Mountain Home doesn't even seem as though it had been around for all that long of a time anyways.
You would have actually gotten the sense that it's probably been around a couple of decades at the very least. Maybe longer.
Well, for a settlement, that's not particularly a lengthy amount of time,
That's true.
but
Can we determine at all how old the ink is on the map?
With an investigation check from Marisol of 20, yeah, she could say that. She would probably get the sense that the map would have been, or that her ink would have been, well, certainly older than the regular drying period that her mom would have known to be around 3 days. But certainly longer too, with the fading that had happened on it. That the map has faded quite a bit, but even the ink has faded a little bit, but not badly. So she would get the sense that this might be anywhere between 2 and 6 months.
Wendy, just actually, okay. I have a big question.
Yeah, bring it.
Does this imply that my mother's alive, or is this another potential miscommunication?
Oh no, that's a miscommunication on my part. You're right. Sorry. No, this would have been there a long time ago. My bad. Sorry. So because she passed away. How many years ago was it that she passed away?
5 is what I had.
Yeah, no. So let's go with that. Let's go with a little bit older than that. Not much older though.
Okay. Okay, so big potential thing averted there.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, I'll relay that to the group. If this is one of the last things she was working on before she disappeared, before she died, this could have something to do with her death, maybe.
How long ago was the ransacking? Did we ever determine that?
We still haven't, no.
Around.
We could probably probe the guard for that information.
Well, when you were at the Asbrith, the last thing that you heard was that they had seen no evidence of activity at the building, which is why they took it over about 2.5 weeks ago.
So the ransacking happened sometime before then,
Mhm.
but somewhat still recently enough, I guess.
I was hoping to determine that with Karen Chase, since I'm assuming the ransacking happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Never mind.
We'll figure it out.
And when you left around the same time that your parents passed away, right, Marisol?
We're really going to need to talk about Marisol's backstory after this session because there's a lot of miscommunications with it.
Yeah, that's fine. It's been 3 weeks. Let's try me. So fill us in.
I'd had it that parents died. Marisol immediately came back to Melvaunt and has been kind of in and out of the city for about the past 2 years with Zentarum related things. So she hasn't been here very consistently for the last couple of years.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that makes much sense for what I've got set up for you. So yeah, go ahead. Carry on.
Okay. So then it still would have had to have happened within recent months at least. Which means I doubt that whatever she was working on with this particular map had anything to do with her passing, being as how late this was stolen. If this had only been stolen within the last couple of months and your mother has been gone for a number of years, you would have thought it would have been taken sooner.
We find lost civilizations almost all the time, and ancient treasures buried in frozen ice places. This could be a clue as to what happened. Look, I know I sound insane, but if you lost your parents and had some piece of information on what could have happened besides just a freak accident on the Sea of Fallen Stars, wouldn't you want to know?
I would, which is why I do not think you are crazy. If you are correct in saying that the map was only taken within the last few months, that does not necessarily denote it had nothing to do with past events. It could be that whoever took it did not know until more recently that the map existed.
Thank you. Exactly. They could have been having my parents work on something deeper than the missions that had Dad going on, and this could be related to it. For all I know, I could have inherited what they're after.
At this point, we need to basically keep our mind open to all options. Yes, it could be that we are facing a third party that none of us are aware of. It could be that it was completely random, or it could be directly tied to everything. At this point, we simply do not have enough to know. And until we do, we must simply take in everything and see how it fits together.
All right. Well,
Roman, sorry, I'm just going to say, Roman, as this
Yes.
conversation is happening, you're kind of taking a quick peek around the room without touching anything, just kind of keeping your distance. And you notice on one of the corners of the table, something that Marisol kind of overlooked, but you recognize it. You see a very small statue, stone statue, rough carved, but it is an obvious depiction of Waukeen.
And it looks untouched?
It looks, it's not in gold, which is what's interesting to you, but it's just a stone statue, and it is largely untouched. Yeah.
And is this stone statue? Is it it's on the table?
It's right on the table, out in plain view.
I guess while Indani is doing her spiel, his gaze would probably come across that and almost not waver from it. He's just kind of staring at it, but not saying anything, because he doesn't quite know what to make of it yet. Because there's obviously odd things about it. One, it's not made of gold. Two, it's not knocked across the room like everything else in here. So he's just kind of looking at it with a strange eye, but not quite saying anything about it.
Now, being that she's speaking to the whole room and sort of looking in between them, would Indani notice this? That he's suddenly just like
Roll an insight
zoned out?
check. Actually, your passive insight could probably tell us. What is your passive insight?
Passive perception is 13.
Insight is a bit different. So your passive
Oh, okay.
insight.
Insight is what? It's 10 plus insight, I believe.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So that would also be a 13.
Oh, okay, fair enough then. So, yeah, you probably will notice that he's just kind of not in the conversation at the very least.
Are you even listening to anything we're saying?
He'll look back and say, "Yes, I'm listening. There's just a strange object on the table that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me at the moment."
If it's a sextant, I can tell you now that it's not what you think it is.
He'll point out the stone statue,
and he's pointing to a statue that you know has been your mom's statue forever, for longer than you've been alive, because she worshipped Waukeen. This was probably her first symbol of Waukeen, and she just kept it. And its chances are that Sylvia also kept it in remembrance of Judith.
So it's not strange at all that it's made out of stone, or like, does it?
The story you remember from it when your mother explained it to you was that this statue she was able to get when she was just a young worshiper. She hadn't actually developed, hadn't had any income yet, and she used it and worshipped it to the point where she actually did earn herself enough wealth to actually have her own shop and such. along with for the travels that she was on as well. But it was very much like an idol that she had as in worship of Waukeen before she could actually say she had earned Waukeen's trust.
Okay, so just normal that it's made out of stone for her at the very least.
Yes.
Marisol smiles a bit seeing it, and actually like shoulders sag a little bit in relief that it's still there. And she'll walk over to the table and put a hand on the stone and like rub it for good luck like Mom did. Yeah, she was a follower of Waukeen. Definitely always gave her credit for the shop's success.
I see. It seems out of place to me with the state of the rest of the room. I don't know if that has any significance whatsoever. It probably doesn't, being as it's a stone item, and it would be probably painful to knock over, but it's just strange that it's made of stone rather than the usual gold I'm used to.
I find it strange that you'd have a rock on your desk that's made of a precious metal instead of something simple like this. It was all she could afford.
And
when
he'll
she got
pull out
it.
his holy symbol. It's just like literally a gold coin, not a chain, basically. This is
Fair enough.
how I worship. I don't need the fancy idols. Those are for the temples. I'm just used to seeing them in gold rather than stone.
Well, you get what you can afford, right?
I understand.
Now that he's put it in my head, though, is it at all like? Is there anything at all strange about the stone? Like, should it be knocked over with the state of the rest of the room, or anything like that?
Well, and the only reason that seems odd is because when you look at it carefully with your 20 investigation check, you're pretty certain that it was knocked over because you can see the dust patch left behind by the base of the stone. And that's, yeah, it must have been knocked over and then just righted probably today.
I look over at Autumn. Did your magic move this?
Yep.
Did my magic move that? Okay. Yes.
All right. Well,
I
good
guess
to know
that
it's
solves
not a
the mystery
clue.
of it standing.
Sorry. I tried my best to get things back to where exactly they were.
No,
It's
thank
fine.
you.
I don't think I would have noticed it if it hadn't been standing.
At any rate, this before I go on any more tangents, let's get the rest of the place cleaned up, and we can think a bit clearer when my house is not in total disrepair.
We can also take another look through here later, just in case we find anything else.
Yeah, the study off limits, but at the very least, the kitchen can be clean.
All right.
Let's get to work.
All right, so you guys carry on to the next room, which is the one that is to the south end, then, do you?
I would assume so.
Okay.
I feel like at this point we're once again following Marisol through the house because we have no idea where we're going.
Yeah,
So-
that sounds about right. Just
All right.
following the lead.
Okay, so you
I'd
enter
go-
this space. Sorry, go ahead, Marisol.
I'd go in if my token could fit, but it cannot, so...
Oh, what? Really? That's crazy. Let me fix that. Is it because? Oh, is it because there's a door? Is that what's going on? What did I do?
Yeah, I think it's. The
It might
door.
be a wall collision.
So if
yeah, let me have a look. See.
You're.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
probably a collision of
I've-
darkness.
I've got a doll. I've got a door in the way. That's my problem. We're solved. Okay, so now you can see in
Okay.
there. Okay, so you've opened the door. Yay. The inside this space, this is the office, and this is kind of where the accounting of the business took place most often, and it was your mom's sister who took over for as the face of the building, and so this kind of became her space to get the things done. And so let's see here, check a name, just make sure I'm not missing a name. Yeah, Sylvia, that's what I thought. So Sylvia's, it kind of became Sylvia's desk, even though it was Judith's desk first. So that's from what Marisol knows. What you guys all do see is a broken chair in here. You do see an open door across a kitty corner across the room. It's just a 15 foot by 15 foot space. The desk has been broken into. The drawer locks have been broken. So when you take a peek inside the desk, which I'm assuming you're doing.
Most definitely.
Okay. You do see a ledger of business activities. That's the only thing that's left in the desk. Kind of read through the ledger, do you?
Absolutely.
Okay. So lots of what you kind of got used to was codes that they would use to keep track of things for when they needed to keep people's privacy, which was not uncommon in Melvaunt. Lots of people needed to have maps to certain locations, but they would also pay for that for privacy. It's kind of where the bread and butter of the business was. The last entry that you see in this particular ledger, which looks old. It looks like it's been here for a long time. In fact, the last entry is not Sylvia's writing. It is Judith's. And shows 2,000 gold, and it has no name attached to this entry in the ledger. It shows that it's still unpaid. Everything else shows that it's been paid, but it shows it's been unpaid. And it's marked with PI5 as the code.
Okay. So this is an old AF ledger with my mom's handwriting. Okay, that is definitely a clue. If I scroll back through the ledger, is there a repetition of this at all, like PI5 in particular?
Roll investigation. Let's find out. You see inside this ledger, it's a few pages thick. The entries that you see in here, they all say that they've been paid. Some of the amounts are relatively small, like 10 gold, 50 gold. There's only a couple of entries that have really large values on them, but there isn't. The codes don't seem to make much sense to you. There are a couple of repetitions, but the repetitions, they're very infrequent. PI appears only one other time, but it's not PI5, it's PI2.
Does it also have a large sum of cash attached to it?
No, that one's pretty small. 20 gold.
Okay.
We
I'm
good
going
start cleaning
to-
in here. Marisol?
Yeah, go ahead. I think this is about the only important thing right now.
I'm gonna get my servants to start cleaning and repairing that chair.
Alrighty.
And I'm gonna saunter over to Marisol while that's going on. What is it?
One of Mom's old ledgers. It's just to clarify, it's not in common, so the dwarf can't read it, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's totally in half orc. Or sorry, in orcish, I should say.
Okay.
I mean, sure, Odom can't read it.
Oh, Autumn can't read the orc? Or can Autumn read
I
the orc?
mean, after I cast a spell, I can.
Yeah, so at the moment you can't read it.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Just making sure he's not looking at business practices. Either way, I'll shift it a little bit away from him, but not fully obscure it. old business ledger, and I don't know, it's the only thing left in the desk, and it's not at Sylvia's. It's my mom's, actually.
Strange. All right. I'm just gonna kind of walk on by then.
All right.
You want us to go upstairs?
Sure. If the magic will be responsible for this room.
Yeah, I'll do.
Mhm.
Okay, so who's going up the stairs first?
I guess Roman would be, since I think Odom would have to stay down here to make sure the serpents don't do anything stupid.
No, actually, they're pretty autonomous.
All right. Well, then whoever's going up first.
Autumn's not going up first. He got yelled at the last time he wandered off.
Makes sense for it to be Marisol, really.
Okay.
Because I think we're all just sort of cowed and following her
Yeah.
lead.
All right, so
Unless,
we'll
I mean, if Marisol is still, digging through that book, Roman would probably be the next first person. But
Okay.
whoever's going up first, it's probably her or Roman.
All right, here we go. So Marisol, you're making your way up the stairs. Okay, I'm gonna get everybody
Yeah, and I'm
in
taking
there.
the business ledger with me.
Okay. And we'll get Autumn up there, and then when we have enough space, I'll get the other two up there too. There we go. We got. And make it so that y'all can see the things.
I
Alrighty.
see Odom.
That's right, because you're going upstairs. Okay, so, and there's
Yeah.
now Indani there too. So, stepping to your left immediately, Marisol, you see the living space. This is where you guys would, so all the business stuff happened on the main level. Your living quarters were up here, and you've already been here the night before. So in this space, this is a relatively large room. You can see your dining table. There's a few dishes that are left out, but not a lot. There's a wash basin in the corner. There is a broom as well. But you do see your a stove, and you remember every once in a while, if you guys got rough housing up in the upper level too close to the stove, you could actually hear the creak of the wood. It's a heavy stove, and so they had to put it on a load-bearing wall. And then you remember them complaining about the noises that it would make. But the long table, it has 3 chairs. The rug that's on the floor, it's kind of this wicker type rug, or corded type rug that is starting to kind of wear out, and so you kind of watch your step in a couple of places where it would actually poke into your foot. But if you're still wearing your shoes for that matter, but chances are you would have already told everybody to take off your shoes so you guys don't make bigger messes. That's up to you though. So this is your living quarters. You do see the pantry to your left, which is the southwest room. You do see another storeroom, as you remember it at any rate, sort of, except that you know that Rima has basically turned that room into her own space, or had last time you were here. And then, of course, the other rooms on the other direction from the stairs were bedrooms.
Does this place look trash at all?
It looks like somebody had a meal in it and then left the dishes out. But that's it. It doesn't really look trashed. The cupboards look like they've been opened, but that's it.
That is
So
a
somebody
nice change
rummaged
of
through
pace.
them, but didn't really pay a whole lot of attention, kind of thing.
More like you get the sense that they didn't find that they didn't think this room was going to have anything in it, and so they just used the opportunity to make themselves some food.
Gotta love those kind of thieves.
They fucking ate my food. Are you serious?
If only we had modern technology, then we just use fingerprints. But it doesn't exist.
True. Okay.
Anywhere else you're going?
While I'm in the kitchen, I'm just going to very quickly shut all the cabinets, double check that there's actually stuff in them, and if it looks like anything is super moldy, that's getting tossed out. But for the most part, just very quick cleaning.
Fair enough.
If you got close to anything too moldy, I'm gonna prestidigitation and quick clean stuff.
Can prestidigitation fix moldy food?
I can get rid
I
of the
mean,
stink.
It instantaneously cleans.
Hmm.
You instantaneous clean or soil an object no larger than 1 cubic foot.
Is mold a thing that can be cleaned though?
Yeah, that one. That's
At least
one thing
from
you could clean.
food.
Yeah.
All right.
So apparently, if you have prestidigitation, food just doesn't have an expiration date.
I know, wizards, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
I gotta go through.
Busted.
Yeah, I need to check to make sure all of my cantrips are in order, because I thought I took prestidigitation, but maybe I didn't. I just need to double check through that, because I know I have a whole lot of cantrips for being warlock,
I
cleric.
think wizards
Right.
are like one of the only classes that get prestidigitation.
Yeah, there isn't a lot. That's for sure.
Warlocks also get it, which is why I think I might have.
I thought
taken it when
warlocks
hit
got
level 2.
thaumaturgy.
I would have taken. I think they also get that, but I took thaumaturgy with cleric.
Yeah, so
So
we're
it's
gonna
one or
double
the
check
other.
some things. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll check that
we can
out
do
later.
that after the session.
It's whatever.
Yeah. So where are you going now, guys?
Just
Dining
follow Marisol at this
room?
point.
So you're kind of in the dining
If-
room.
If it at all looks like it's been touched, checking again. And DNA evidence is just not a thing in this setting, so there's really no point in like making a point to check all this stuff out. But I'll like pile it up, push it towards Autumn, and like say the magic thing on this stuff would be appreciated.
Pew 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 pew. Just finger guns.
And they're now sparkly clean.
Oh, for some reason I thought there was a door in this room.
There is
I'll
a
go
door
ahead.
right here. If I can ping it there for you, there is a door right there.
There's also one down here, but there's.
Yep.
I think there's an actual door token there because I can't see through it very well.
No, yeah, it's true. So where do you want to go?
Oh, up here there's a door?
Yeah. Do you want to go in there? It's closed right now. I lost it. Did you want to go in there?
Oh, sorry, Discord was glitching for a second. Yeah, I
Okay.
would like to push the door open and go in.
Okay, door is unlocked. It's not like it's a locked thing. However, when you open up the door, what you're expecting to see here is not what you see. You see a buffet of dishes in the room, which is part of what you see, and you do see a pile of linens in a basket. But you and looking inside the basket, you recognize that the blanket that is in there would have been Rima's at one point in time. But what else is different in this room is that there is now a desk in the far end of the room, and there is a journal in this desk. Or on top of this desk as well. Nothing. I mean, that's fairly new because this is the room that you knew that Rima would basically take that blanket and sleep in usually. So to see this desk in here is slightly jarring.
Okay. I'll approach it. The journal, does it look recognizable at all?
It doesn't at first, until you start getting into it and reading it a little bit. You kind of explore the desk. There's nothing in the drawers, and the desk looks like it's been newly placed here. So when you look into the journal and open it up, and recognize the writing as Carmen's, it suddenly clues in that, especially because the things that you see inside the journal are not actually journal entries so much as they are drawings of dresses. Designs that Carmen had obviously been putting together.
Is there so I'm assuming then that these linens look like they could be fabric and things that could be sewn together then?
No, you get the sense that this is your dirty laundry area.
I imagine Carmen could still steal things from there and stitch it together. Okay. I'm actually going to take a seat and flip through it. Is anything dated?
Roll an investigation check. So going through it, this would take you a little bit of time. So I'm going to check in with the other people before we get to to resolve this one. So Indani, Autumn, Roman, if you were to peek into that room, you would notice Marisol just kind of stop and start leafing through this book. What would you guys do while she's doing this?
If Indani was the first to see that, she would just sort of immediately turn around and shoo the others back out into this room that they're already in, and just be like, just give it a moment.
Autumn's busy cleaning, so he's not checking at all.
Okay.
Is the servant who's not repairing the chair done yet? 'Cause I assume the repairing of the chair is going to take a bit.
That's true. And the servant who is not repairing the chair is done.
I'll have him come up here and see if he can make some food.
Ah, there you go. Okay. Okay. And Roman?
Then I guess, since I guess Indani shoot him away from that door, he would take a quick glance through some of the other rooms, make sure none of the doors are locked, at least. Basically, just go through the rooms and make sure all the doors are open, so that way when Marisol comes out,
Sure.
we don't have to worry about going through locked doors.
Okey-doke. Let's see here. So I'm going to kill all those doors for you. And so when you kind of open up the doors, you do notice one of them is an obvious pantry that's been kind of torn through. You do see a larger bedroom with a couple of beds that has also been ransacked, and then one more bedroom that's been heavily ransacked. This is the one, and you recognize this is the one that Marisol would have climbed into the night previous. But you purposefully don't look much more detailed than that. You just notice that these are ransacked rooms.
Okay. Yeah, I don't particularly want to take too close of a look, since I don't know kind of what each place is, like, to who.
Okay.
And I don't want to, miss something that is obvious to Marisol, or break something that's, shouldn't be broken.
Okay.
So I'm going to kind of hold off until she's done flipping through the book.
So after a little while of going through the book, then Marisol, you see it's mostly drawings, but every once in a while there's an actual journal entry, some sort of discussion of the day. Getting the sense, though, that based off of what she's writing about, that it wasn't that long ago, probably since you last left. And the last entry you see that is more of a journal type thing as opposed to a dress design is an entry where she kind of laments about how Marisol isn't around, how you aren't around, and that now it's up to Carmen to take care of the house, and that she's worried about Jorge and that he's going to end up like her father. The last entry talking about the fact that she sold her first dress ever and how excited she was that she was finally getting her work out there. But that last entry is also interrupted and incomplete.
Does it look like there was like ink spillage on it, or is it just like it just stops mid-sentence?
It just stops mid-sentence.
I take a second to wipe at my eyes at the mention of her selling her first dress and me not being around for that. And then fold the journal closed and put that under my arm with the ledger. And I'll give the room one last look to make sure that there's not any like obvious things I'm missing or anything that's out of place, but I'm assuming there's not, and exit the room once I'm not.
Sure. Okay, so you're right. You capture everything that's in this room, and so you choose to exit it. Where are you going to go next?
I'm not going to mention my sister's journal tomorrow now and just go across the hall over to... Oh, there's a room.
Yes.
I'll go into this one.
Okay, dope. So this room, you already know fairly well. It's the... oh, I went the wrong way on my notes. Hang on 1 second. This is the room that, when you were much, much younger, this was a room that you shared with your other siblings when you were small enough to do so. But now it only has 2 beds. It has some dressers. The mirror's been shattered. The dressers are overturned. There's a toy chest where the toys have been yanked out of it. Aside from the mattresses have been torn open and put aside. Aside from the fact that there is, just kind of looking around the room, there's not anything of value in here except for of sentimental value. And so you might be able to find a couple of toys that were yours or indicative of Jorge's or Carmen's.
Is this like a thing of they just didn't have sentimental or didn't have anything of value in here, or it was the thing if they were taken?
It was, if there was anything taken, it doesn't look like you can see any evidence of anything taken from here. And the bunk that you see there, because it was a bunk that you used to sleep on as well, it doesn't even look damaged. It's just like the toys have been thrown about and a mirror was trashed, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, with a bit heavier a heart, I'm going to start setting things to right and a lot softer direct people on how to clean if they come in and start helping out.
Sure. And this room is actually relatively easy to direct because it is simply putting the toys away, putting the drawers back in, and maybe magically repairing a mirror. Who knows?
And Donnie
You-
would definitely go in and help and just, quietly follow direction and put things back with obvious care.
Okay.
Like this is something that also she sort of feels a little bit as well because she has the younger sibling, so for her it's hitting close to home, so she's taking obvious care with every item that she's picking up and putting away.
Autumn, while your
Yes.
servant is making food, of a sudden, the frying pan or the tools that they're using suddenly drop, and you realize, oh, wait a second, it's already been that amount of time, and because that servant has now disappeared. And so you guys all hear this great big clamor in the kitchen as everything kind of falls down.
I would assume Autumn would be relatively aware of like his casting times and would have just started.
Oh, okay, fine.
Ritual. It's fine if you want to do it like that.
Whatever. Yeah, go ahead and start your ritual then. We'll let it play out that way.
A ritual.
And so the cooking continues.
I get another servant to swap out for that servant before he expires.
There you go. So the cooking continues. And the cleaning continues.
And then I immediately start a second ritual to get the guy who's downstairs. Because he's going to need a replacement then pretty quickly.
Marvelous. And so the root cleaning, I'm not going to clean the map on this one this time. There's too much stuff to do in there. But the cleaning continues and proceeds relatively carefully and easily.
While Donnie's cleaning and being particularly meticulous about it, Marisol would take note of the part where it's very respectfully done and just murmur a soft thank you. And kind of just wait for a response with it.
It cannot be easy to be here, let alone while it is in this state. If there's anything I can do, please do not hesitate to ask.
I appreciate that, truly. And all of you sticking with me through this. And after a week of knowing each other, I wasn't expecting to find that when I was stuck in a goblin cage for a long time.
Yeah. As I've said before, we are with you through this. Whatever it is you need from us, in any way that we can help you find your family and remove yourself from this death, we will do it. We will find a way.
Now just to find a way to do both.
It will not be easy, but we will find a way. There's always a way to do, well, just about anything.
All right, so Marisol, as you enter that final room on this level, well, it's not quite the final room, the almost final room on this level, you recognize this as the room that used to be Judith and Gerzon's room, and later became Sylvia's when she needed it to be. But this room is easily the most focused on of all the ransacked areas, aside from that cartography room that you guys were originally in. The mattress is shredded and folded. The bed frame has been tossed. All the clothes in the cupboard cabinets have been completely tousled. There is nothing clean in here and nothing undamaged.
Okay, it sucks seeing this in daylight. Marisol set the books in a corner away from the debris, and if there is, in particular, well, first again, checking to see, like, as she's going through it, definitely cataloging what is salvageable versus not, and again, doing her best to look for clues or things that could have been stolen. But this is with like a whole lot of obvious sadness and and she frequently has to take breaks while doing it.
Okay. Is there somebody else helping you out with this? Helping Marisol out with this?
And Donnie would definitely be helping her out.
Okay.
And whenever she needs to take a break, she just puts a quiet hand on her shoulder and then sort of takes over whatever task Marisol had been doing at the moment so she can step away or turn away, whatever she needs, kind of thing.
Marisol, roll an investigation check with advantage then, please. Okay.
I saw that almost 18 and I'm so mad.
I know. I saw the same thing. Okay. So sitting in this room and working for a while. Indani, roll a perception check for me while we're at this too, please.
Sorry, perception?
Yes, please.
Hooray! I'm perceptive as fuck.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. You really are perceptive as fuck. Okay. So then, you guys can carry on with cleaning up this location, this room. And after a while of being in here, it begins to become obvious that there's more that's going to have to be thrown out than kept in this space. Everything has been completely shredded. The bed frame is no longer useful. The dresser on what you would know to be Gerzon's side is the most intact thing in the entire room.
I hate this so much. Okay. Marisol's basically standing in like the ruins of just about everything that her parents not only worked for, but she has left of them, considering they're either dead at the bottom of the sea or somewhere. So, when this realization dawns on her at this point, she kind of just stands up, takes the books out of the corner, has gestures to Undani to leave the room, and then does so herself and quietly but firmly shuts the door.
So now, just to be clear, there are no books in that room. It's nothing but clothes
No,
and
the
treasures
ones
and such.
that I.
Oh,
No,
I
I
see.
mean
I
the
see.
ones that I
I see.
had.
Can you roll a quick
Or
perception check
carrying.
before you leave the room, too? Okay. Okay, thank you. Anything else that Autumn or Roman are doing at this point in time?
I would hope my servant is done repairing that chair downstairs.
Yes, definitely.
I'll have him bring it up so that I can
Oh.
start having them prepare like a place to eat.
Okay. And that is... Alright. One chair.
Kinda.
Ready to eat. Huzzah. Okay. Marisol, as you walk past those stairs, kind of starting to become a little bit more aware, particularly because of the hollow cavity that was underneath that stone below, trying to be a little bit more aware of the layout of the house. And with that, you realize the bedroom that you were just in seems deeper than the space that the hallway takes up. That the bedroom is about 20 feet by 20 feet, but the hallway only takes up about 10 feet from where you stand. And you don't remember anything ever being there. There's no chimney.
Wasn't it like a closet or something at the back of the room?
You don't remember one being there.
I will steel myself, open the door again, and head straight to the back of the room and stare at it till my eyes go crossed if I have to in order to figure out what is up with my parents' room.
Okay. And so spending a little bit more time in there looking at that section of the wall where there should be something but isn't, you then reach across that dresser that is largely untouched and feel across the wall. And for the first time ever, you notice that there is a tiny and like almost imperceptible change in the depth of the wall. Like you just run over a crack that you didn't even realize was there. But something is definitely set back a little bit.
If I stick my hand in there, is there like some sort of anything to touch or pull on?
Well, so you push, and the wood planks of the wall kind of drag against each other, and so you have this pivoting doorway that's actually fixed at a center axis, and so it's kind of like a French door as it kind of flips between both sides, or one of those carousel doors that kind of flip on both sides, and you see a cavity in behind this wall now. And inside this cavity is very dark, very dusty. With your dark vision, no problem though. But there is a thick layer of dust in here, but you do see also a nail hammered into the wall on the right-hand side. And hanging on that nail, I gotta find it here for you. Hanging on that nail, you see a set of keys.
Oh, that was just shared with all of us.
Yep, I did that on purpose because eventually you guys are all going to see it anyway.
Okay.
Okay. And they look exactly like this, right?
That's exactly what they look like, yes.
Bunch of fucking skulls hanging on it. Okay. And just to clarify, Discord was glitching when you were doing your description. That's the only thing in this room?
That's the only thing in that little egress that is in the wall above your father's old dresser.
Okay, macabre. I'm going to pull those down off the hook and like just hold them in my palm. Very, very uncertain what to make of this.
All right. Yeah, Roman, that would be. Okay, so as you take them off the hook, are you going to close that door to that strange little door that you just found in the wall?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you close the door, you kind of try to just slide it back into a place where it looks like it's normal again, and you realize that if you are as meticulous as you could possibly be, you could make it line up perfectly flat, so that even if you were to draw your hand across it, it would still feel completely flat and be almost imperceptible. It has that fine craftsmanship on it. So you wonder if that's always been there.
I slept in this room and I didn't even fucking notice it. I will bring the keys out and join the rest of the group. And just completely bewildered about this discovery.
Are you holding the keys out?
They're like in my palms. I imagine you can pretty clearly see them.
What did you find in there?
Actual skeleton keys. I don't. There was behind my dad's dresser. There was this small hidden nook, and this key set was all that's in there.
I presume you have never seen these keys before.
I have spent several nights of my life in that room, and I have never laid eyes on any of that.
Would Marisol describe what kind of door it is? Or no?
If asked, sure.
Oh, no. If she doesn't do it by herself, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna bother with it. It's just a small detail that, I don't know.
I don't know what this could be or mean. It might be what whoever ransacked my place was looking for, but you could barely tell that there was a divot in the wall unless you're really looking for it, and they clearly didn't find it.
Clearly they did not find it, so perhaps there's still some hope that there's something to be found. If we have these, we just need to find what it is they go to.
And you're sure that those keys don't go to the desk that was downstairs?
They were broken into and open anyway. And Sylvia's bit of a bitch, but she's not macabre like us.
If the keys were so well hidden, my thought would be that whatever it is they go to is also very well hidden.
What about that tile downstairs? You both felt really strange around that tile. I didn't really notice it, but maybe there's something with it and those keys.
Did you see any keyholes?
I searched for an opening. I even pushed my dagger in to see if there was a hidden space underneath, but it seemed solid. There is something below, at the very least that tile, but I do not know how to get to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn on my heel and quickly walk down the steps back to that tile.
You're
Okay.
We're half running after her because I'm assuming she's walking pretty quick.
All right, let's get you guys down there. So you're going down to that tile.
I think we're all following.
Okay.
Well, maybe
Autumn's
Odom
last-
isn't.
Autumn's real disappointed because like the servants are just moving the food onto the table.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So I get you guys here. All right, there you are.
If I take a look at the key, does it look like there's any keyholes in the floor?
No, it does not. There are no keyholes in the floor.
Is there some depression in the stone that looks like you could place the key in and it'd like fit perfectly?
No, there does not. Seem like there is a depression.
Is there anything on the walls?
You can investigate if you would like the walls.
Well,
I will help him do that if he does it.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I'm not. I guess I'll get advantage on this, but my check will not be great. But
Well, you could help Marisol if you would rather. That's perfectly fine.
I think helping her would probably be better because a non-negative number is better.
All right, here comes Marisol's roll. You check out the walls, feeling for any sort of egress like you noticed before underneath the stairs, in some sort of small thing in the in the opposite wall or anything along, even around the corner to the cabinet that's around the corner. But the cabinet moves free. It's not attached to anything. There is nothing in these walls.
Totally forgot I was on push to talk. What's outside? Is this just outside again? On the other side of this wall, or is that
She's
a
feeling
room?
right where Marisol's standing. That's where the hollow sound is.
Yeah, but what's on the other side of this wall?
Oh, stairs.
I just have dynamic light.
Stairs.
Is there a way to get under the stairs?
It doesn't appear as though there is.
Well, just how hard are we looking here? I would
Go
like
ahead
to
and investigate.
for a way to get under the stairs. Please, God.
Yeah.
I rolled above a 10.
Yeah, so looking around, you don't see anything that would get you to underneath the stairs from that side. If you were to go all the way around to actually get back to the stairs again, you'll realize that there is a very thin space that you could get to underneath the stairs, and that it's there that could be considered a storage space, but it's not very easy to get to, and it's a fairly poor crawl space to get to. But it is there.
Going in, or can I fit?
You could fit, but there's legitimately nothing there except for firewood, actually. It's at about this point in time where I'm going to get you in the right spot then to make that. So you're actually trying to crawl underneath the stairs in here.
Yes. Because I know there's something under that tile, and there's obviously going to be a way to get it, and I'm bound and determined to find it.
It's at that point in time that Autumn notices something out the window immediately beside him in the office. and he looks and he realizes there is a group of people looking like they're preparing to jump around the corner.
Like jump
All-
out the front?
They're on the side of the building beside your wagon, and they're look like they're about to jump around the corner with a look of intent of violence.
Alright. Roman?
Yes.
I kind of like gesture towards the window.
And at that, as you gesture, they all jump and run around the corner. And Serge says, you can hear Serge from around the corner, Marisol saying, "Oh shit, we're hit found!" And that's where we're going to stop the
window
night.
in front of. All right, never mind then. Ignore my question because I'm gonna forget the answer by the next time we play.
If they trash my fucking house, I'm going to murder them anyway.
Oh, they're dead regardless. I don't think it particularly matters.
If they stain my floor, oh my goodness.
Of
Yeah.
course, this would happen after I wedge myself somewhere.
Yep.
You always just seem to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I really do. That's okay. I'm going out swinging logs. It's fine. Just crack someone in the face with a piece of firewood.
So, ladies and gents, that's how it goes. We have Indani stuck under a crawl space. We have Roman and Autumn looking out a window at some people who are about to attack. Marisol's trying to find a entry to a hollow stone. And Veltris and Serge are out keeping watch. Next session, when we meet, we roll for initiative right off the top. And that's how we're going to end for the night, guys.
That's all.
Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you guys all have a great night out there in the streaming world. Peace out.